The Drop with Frank and Brian is officially brought to you by Switch Suspension. Switch Suspension specializes in all vehicle chassis components. Lift kits, lowering kits, air ride suspension, wheels, tires, steering, and brake upgrades. They use all the best products from the best brands. And these guys are truck guys. You roll into their parking lot at the shop and they all drive custom vehicles. So they use their products that they sell on their own vehicles. So if you guys are looking for anything for your vehicles, whether you're just starting out or you just need some replacement parts or whatever, give them a call or visit their website, switchsuspension.com.
Hope you enjoyed this episode of The Drop. If you like these podcasts and all the other content we create, head on over to our websites and purchase merch. Purchasing merch keeps us going and creating more content. Our websites are grinder-tv.com and livelifecustom.com. We really appreciate it. Now on to the episode. Welcome to this week's episode, The Drop with Frank and Brian, and we're sitting here with Mr. C10, Ronnie.
What's up? The Drop.
And he's all about C10 trucks, podcasting. So we're going to talk about mini trucks
and
for
talking
the next
shit.
the next 2 hours.
I'm down. Hey, there's an S10 right below me.
I know. I saw that. Yeah.
That's my son's.
That's tight. Yeah. So I was walking. I came back and I was like, hold on.
Yeah, that thing's sweet. Blazer, S10 Blazer,
This
86.
dude's a mini trucker.
Yeah, it's not a Toyota. It's
Not a Toyota.
It's got to be a Chevy if it's a mini
well,
truck.
a Hilux would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that girl? She's building that 6'4" or whatever. You ever
Oh, down in
follow?
Australia?
Jasmine?
Oh my God.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It is incredible. I don't think that there's going to be like a. I think the only stock body panel is that front, like part of the dash. I think.
Yeah.
Everything
Whatever
else is hand
she's
built.
doing is intense.
She's amazingly talented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's really good.
Her channel's fun to watch,
Yes.
and her skill set.
Yep.
That's not the same Chaos. That's not Chaos Fab, is it? Or Chaos
Taco.
Chaos Taco?
Yeah.
That's the same person?
Same girl. The one that was in Mississippi with us.
Yeah. But I didn't realize that,
So you met
she's.
her?
Yeah, she came out. She came out, her and her now fiance flew to SoCal,
Yeah.
got in a rental car, and drove to Mississippi. And on the way, stopped at junkyards. She bought bedsides, because the bedsides for Tacomas are different here than there. Cut them in half, put them in snowboard bags, got a back window frame, cut it in half, put it in snowboard bags, took them back, welded them together, and put them on her truck.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing how she metal works that stuff.
What a journey.
And she does interior. And he does like a lot of metalwork suspension and stuff like that. And she rides dirt bikes and has cool dogs.
I got mad respect for anybody in Australia that builds anything.
Oh, yeah, for
because
sure.
We're so spoiled when it comes to parts and shipping and the patience and the time.
Yep.
They have to go through so much. And we're just like, oh my God, we had to wait a week for our
Yeah,
parts.
I know.
Well, we're very good at complaining about things.
Yeah. Even Canada.
Yeah.
The customs
Yeah.
that they go through and the amount of money.
Yeah.
Kudos to Canada. Anybody that's not in the U.S. building truck parts.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right.
trucks.
We're definitely spoiled. And especially the C10 guys are
Yeah.
super spoiled.
Yeah.
Well, I get a lot of flack from the Dodge and Ford guys because they're like, you guys can build a truck out of a catalog, right? And
Yeah.
you really can. You can, from frame rails to a cab to anything you need, it's available.
Which is interesting because like back in the earlier days of like mini trucking and stuff like that, when we were like building trucks and doing body drops and bagging, that was sort of the thing with S10s. Like that was kind of the dig on an S10 was like, oh, you could just buy something out of a catalog.
Yeah.
Which is funny because yesterday we were talking with our friend Will and we were talking about this kind of like mentality that mini truckers have about how it's like this like DIY, like proving like, oh, you have to do it the hard way kind of like if you're going to prove yourself. And like that whole time in like the mid 2000s when it was like, oh, you just build a S10 out of a catalog. You didn't have to make your own brackets or stuff like that. But now fast forward, now we live in this thing where like Hell's Gate is like building the front end kit, and you can like start in for C10s. Like there's all of these parts. Like we're just sort of like living in this new world where it's like, yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's
whatever
all
you
good.
need, it's available.
Yeah.
I think some of the lineage is from the hot rod world where you had to build it, you couldn't find it, you made it, and whether it's street cred or a badge of honor, like oh yeah, I did that. And you think about air management, and you go from pre-Accuair to where guys are just going switches and valves, and you're going through all that stuff, and it's that journey. And I think just like anything, it's like, oh, you did it the easy way. You're spoiled, kid. It's like, hey, well, I only live the world I live in.
Yeah.
I'm making that adjustment. What do you want me to do?
You're right.
Well, you want me to go and travel from SoCal to Mississippi and cut down C10 bedsides so I can make it? Does that make you happy?
Well, I think it's just one of those things that we like to hate on things too.
Yeah.
Or or if someone is a little more financially capable to have a shop build a truck, and then like you have a group of people online that aren't.
Yeah.
And then they're kind of like, oh, well, I'm doing it myself. It's like just this weird.
Yeah. It's that thing we've been talking about a lot lately. It's just like justifying your decisions, justifying why did you do it like that? Why didn't you take the easy way?
Yeah. Or since you didn't do it the way I did it, my way's right, your way's wrong.
Yeah.
Well, here's another additive to that is you're like, hey, we can build a truck, C10 world, we can build a truck out of a catalog. Well, now it's even to the point, I was talking to a guy yesterday, a young kid, and he goes, I got to sell these 2 or 3 trucks, right? And he goes, people just don't want to buy them. And I said, here's the funny thing. And the truck I'm doing out right now, it's a 76K25. I tried to sell it, and nobody would buy it.
Really?
And so what I think has to happen is now we're to the point, this is almost horrible, where we're almost to the point now where you have to have the vision and almost build it for somebody to realize the potential of the build and see it and go, oh yeah, now I want that truck. And then you're like, well, okay, I built it, and do I even get anything for my labor? Obviously, we do it for the fun and the journey and so on and so forth. But then you're like, well, yeah, I had to build the damn thing because you don't have the vision to even see where it can go. And I just wonder, it's like, well, we have guys who are buyers, we have guys who are builders, and we have guys who have no vision, but they're like, hey, my wife likes that, or I want to go get Starbucks with that. And, it's definitely different than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It all keeps the gears rolling, though.
Yeah.
Like, it helps everybody. It doesn't matter what you are. If you're a consumer of the product, whether it's buying it done or buying it or building it or having someone building or paying a shop building it, whatever, or Barrett Jackson or whatever, it just keeps the gears turning, the commerce turning in the whole.
Well, one of the pods I was listening to one time, a guy said, as long as these chassis companies keep selling chassis, and people are going to keep building vehicles, you think, right? And then Sam and I have often said, is there a graveyard with all these chassis in them? Because we see all these chassis companies
so you see, right,
2 years behind, but where are all the trucks?
Right.
So, but nonetheless, I think that if people are buying chassis, that means that there's still going to be trucks that are built.
Yeah.
Right. We're not slowing down.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's slowing down at all.
Yeah.
It's only just getting more and more.
When I was filming with Travis at Curry one time, and I asked him, what's your most popular rear end? And he was like, for the Tri-5s. And I was like, so that
Tri-5 Chevy cars?
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's not even the C10s we're needing that. So those are still the most popular rear ends. We haven't even peaked in the truck stuff.
Which is hard to believe, because when I talk to a lot of sponsors, whether it's a wiring company or an AC company, or they're like, oh yeah, the C10s just kill it, whether it's first gen, second gen, third gen, however you want to look at it. But yeah, so
we have like kind of an interesting theory that 20, 30 years ago, the ideal custom car would be like a 34 Ford or 32 Ford or something like in the 30s or 40s, or even like Tri-5 Chevys and stuff like that. But now we're like kind of getting into this world where it's square body C10 trucks, or old Ford F-150s. And the theory is like, when 20, 30 years ago, when those guys were in the peak of building what they wanted to build something that they grew up with, which was those cars,
Or their parents.
parents' cars. And so like now our generations are like, well, my dad never had a 32 Ford laying around, but he had a square body C10 truck that I remember, and I loved it. And that's how we were kind of like in this new
100%.
space.
The other thing I always blame is the class of '83. So I feel like what happened is you look at the generation, and we talked about before we went on air, is it's just kind of the pendulum swings, right? History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. So you had the 32 Ford Coupes, then you had the Camaros and the muscle cars. Well, I think what happened was the class of '83 just said, hey, we can't afford that muscle car, right? So then they started building Fords or Chevys. I mean, for the most part, some jacked up Chevys. And then the kids in us saw those, and our dads had them. The grandpa had it, and you rode in it, and you looked at that glove box, or you looked at that dash pad. But then you saw the potential. And if you look back and you look at old magazines and you look at trucking and you look at the 80s, I mean, it was Chevy, square body Chevys, jacked up.
Yeah.
It was 67 to 72s. And it cycles, and I think that's where we're at. So I tell people all the time, if you're listening or you're watching, take whatever was cool from the time you were 12 to 25, and it's going to be cool again.
Yeah. Oh,
when
yeah.
you're
Definitely.
45 to 55, everybody's going to want what was cool when you were 12 to 25, whether that's Game Boys and Nintendos, to
skateboards,
bikes. It's
I mean, look how much a GT Mach 1 or a dyno or whatever you're $1,500,
Pro
$2,500.
performer, oh, at least.
Yeah.
And COVID accelerated some of that for
Yeah,
a
'cause
lot of
everyone's
our
at home,
generation.
yep.
But I think that it doesn't lie. I mean,
Yeah.
people are going to want that. They're going to be like, hey, I slowed down. I made some money. I always wanted that Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
I always wanted that. I always wanted that.
I was talking to our friend Will yesterday on the podcast about that, about how like when I was 18, 19 years old, the set of wheels I wanted was like $1,200 or $1,300, and that's when you're like that age, it's unfathomable. Like,
Yeah.
But now I found a set of those for $500, and like you can't pull out the money fast enough. You're just, and I think that's how we kind of end up with like this whole skateboard thing and bike thing. It's like you really wanted that bike when you were a kid, and it was just so unattainable. But now I just go get it, you know?
Yeah.
I wonder, because it's all guys, right? I don't see like my wife and
Going to get like Cabbage Patch.
yeah.
Kids.
I don't think it's a good.
I don't think that's a good point.
Well, when you're saying that, I'm thinking your wife's like, okay, babe, whatever. And that same thing is like, hey, I didn't get that scratch and sniff sticker I always wanted, or
Right.
that Cabbage Patch, or that strawberry shortcake, or whatever it is.
Yeah,
No,
that's
they don't
true.
care.
That's a good
and I don't know if
point.
it's because they're just like, I'm raising kids, I don't have time for this bullshit. And you're over here friggin' buying wheels that you, some weld wheels that you just had to have, some Enkies. You know?
Wow.
I don't know. But
Yeah, no,
I
that's
don't
a
think
great point. I never
I guess
really
they
thought
just
that.
like, hey, give me my house and I'll make sure my kids are happy and healthy. But guys are over here buying all this shit, and it's
Yeah.
like, dude, I gotta have the GT Pro Performer.
Yeah.
I wanted the Inkies
Yeah.
on the Eagle STs.
I want my
and-
Tony Hawk, my
Yeah,
Mike McGill.
gotta have it.
What did Ben say? This is the Peter Pan thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, just the Peter Pan thing. We're just still kind of...
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we're
kids
not-
flying around.
Yeah.
And guys are the worst. Maybe that's why, because
Yeah.
they grow up. The females grow up, and the guys are like,
No,
nah,
we
I'm
never
still a little
do.
kid
Yep.
inside there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I always
basically.
wanted that.
It's really fun, though.
It is really
It is.
fun.
It is
really fun.
and it's cool when you get something that you wanted, and you're just like, "Oh my god!" And it is a little bit like Christmas. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it is
fun.
cool. It
a
is.
lot of
It
fun.
kind of keeps things going.
And it's the same in the toy market, like Transformer stuff, Voltron. Remember Voltron?
What about the Star Wars shit, dude?
Star Wars?
It's crazy, man. I watched this show. I love the show. It's called his name's Golden, and it's a collectibles on Netflix. Just it is amazing the stuff that they come up with. There was an iPhone 1 that this guy bought, and he bought two of them, one for his mom, one for him, and then for whatever reason he never opened his, and it sat on the shelf. They appraised it at $60,000. It only sold for $27
Get
on
outta
the
here.
show.
Yeah.
Because it was in the box, and then what they had to do is they had to go in and X-ray the phone to make sure it was in there.
It's in there.
And
Because
so
people
this
have gotten scammed.
Well, this other guy that was part of the team, he goes, "Well, I have my collection. Can I bring it in while we're going to X-ray?" And he had a fake phone in his.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, one of his. One of
Yeah,
his
that's
buddies.
funny. That's insane.
MKHBD. He's like a tech guy on YouTube. He bought one on eBay. He goes, I don't know if this is real, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was, but it was already it was like used. It wasn't unopened, so it wasn't as valuable. But he ended up like his whole thing was he was going to open it and turn it on and connect it.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's insane.
But so that goes back to the nostalgia thing, because I remember my first iPhone, and I let someone borrow it to listen to music because they whatever, and I never got it back. And
Yeah. And also like these people who create like media and create things, these big companies and stuff like that, they know that like, oh, if we just give these dudes some old nostalgia, maybe repackaged, they'll buy it. And a good example, I was talking to Chelsea like as we're hanging out, and I was like, we have all these like interesting drinks now, because like she had these like Modelo, Aqua Fresh, whatever, doesn't matter. But I was like, have you seen the Sunny D ones? And it's like, yeah. So they're like repackaging all these things from our youth, but kind of making them different.
Like a Modelo Sunny D.
It's like a hard Sunny D. It's got
Oh,
alcohol
yeah.
in it. It's like a Sunny D with alcohol. And then she's like, yeah, I can't wait for the Capri Suns. And it's a joke, but I'm willing to bet you.
Oh yeah, you're right. Little pouch with the straw.
Yeah.
And it'll just say hard Capri. or
Hard
something.
Capri, yeah.
As long as they put hard on it.
They know. And we were just talking about that yesterday about like movies and media. It's like they're just like kind of like, oh, we know these dudes will Beetlejuice, we'll watch it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
And the idea is already there. Like the hard part of coming up with the script and stuff, it's half written for you.
yeah, it's already done.
Yeah, I mean, look at Ghostbusters. All these things they
Yeah.
just keep doing because they know this is like.
Oh, that
quick
we're
money.
like, oh yeah.
I know there's a
we're
guy
lying.
that posts a lot, and he gets flack. People are like, "Quit posting it." But the Back to the Future trailer for 4, have you seen that?
No.
Oh,
It'll pop up on your feed, especially now that we're just talking about it.
Is that a real thing?
It's fake, but it
okay.
looks very real.
I was gonna say-
no. He's done a trailer, and it looks so real.
That-
and I forget the kid's name, but he was the Spider-Man character.
Yeah.
and he looks like he could be Marty McFly's
Oh,
kid.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'll
I
find
mean,
it.
it wouldn't surprise me.
No, not at all.
No, and you would love to see it because I was telling my wife, I'm like, how cool would this be?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're all really still alive.
Yeah.
So they could do it, but not for long.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Yeah, that would be tough. So let's get back onto you.
Yeah.
transition.
Yeah.
Let's
Tell us
figure
about-
out.
On to me, or we're just
No, that's the post podcast.
We're
we
very
did the
curious.
pre-podcast. So that's like the foreplay.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
whoa. Hey,
What do you call? What did you call before we went on air?
That's the foreplay.
Oh, that was the 3-play. That was the 3-play, and we made it all the way to 4-play.
Yeah,
and then post pod is 5-play.
Yeah, and then we have snacks.
And then
I already had a snack.
I know. We're gonna have some more snacks.
yeah.
Cream filled.
You're the
Oh,
same.
Anyway.
okay, easy,
Oh,
easy,
okay.
buddy.
All
All
right.
right.
Yeah,
No, so we're
Fire away.
very curious because we want to know. I mean, him and I have been doing this a long time, and we met you years ago. I think the first time I met you was like in 2015, was for the first Eastbound and Down to
Okay.
LST, and so we just want to know. We just want to find out your journey getting here to the podcast world, to the C10 world. Tell us about Ronnie.
Just love trucks. Yeah, love trucks and love truck porn, which was 67 to 72 the Forum. So we come from the Forum, and it is funny, right? So we all come from the Forum. So before social media blew it up.
Was
Right?
this before MySpace or during? It was because I remember Street Source was our forum.
Yeah.
That was the mini truck forum, and then you had the other forums like you said, 67 to 72 was a huge one. That's
Yeah,
like kind
and
of
the
where all
guy
these.
Josh, I interviewed him, and it is funny. I don't know that a lot. I feel like people are starting to figure this out, but the term OBS, old body style, and NBS is kind of based on the forums.
Oh, it was
Because-
coined there.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
well-
that's the.
Yeah, that's a transition. So forums were coming out like then everybody's getting a computer, right? 97. So that's also the model year shift. So Ford's new truck was 97, and then Chev's new truck was 98. So they were calling the 88 to 98s, and for Ford's, the 87 to 97. That's the old body style. Now this is the new body style. So same thing. The forums come around, and the funny thing about a forum is I forget what they call it, but it's like you're a lurker. You don't really.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Total
lurker.
poser, right? You're in there, but for whatever reason, you don't
You're
make
not
an
post
account,
much.
and then you're like, okay, now I need to get an account, and then you make that transition.
Yeah.
But yeah, truck porn 67, 72.
Truck porn was the name of the
No,
forum.
that's what I call it.
Oh, okay.
And my wife and everybody else, especially because I work in the fire department and you have a lot of downtime, and I'd be like, they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm on truck porn, and I'm just
okay.
reading these build threads and watching this stuff.
But
So,
what did you have? Did you have trucks already at
Yeah,
the time, and you
yeah.
were seeking were you seeking out like people that with just common knowledge, or were you seeking out parts, or like? And then how did it get into trucks as far as like being a kid? Did you have one in high school or how?
Good question. In reverse order or the way. So the forum is entertainment, just like social media is now. It was entertainment, and then you didn't really know the people. You
Yeah.
knew who they were, like
handles.
Renee C10 King,
Yeah.
and this Dino guy. It was Dino 63, and you knew who they were. But it was just entertainment, and you'd find builds, and you're like, oh, that guy's in Texas. Oh, that guy's in North Carolina. Truck wise, so I had a car. My first vehicle was a car that I got when high school, right? It was a hand-me-down car. But everybody in my family, first car I learned how to drive was a square body. My dad had square bodies. My grandpa, I remember as a kid, we took my grandpa's 67 to trade in to get an 81
Oh,
for the
nice.
camper.
Like brand new.
Yep, yeah.
Oh,
I remember
cool.
going to the dealership with me, my dad, and my grandpa.
That's awesome.
And then my grandpa on the other side, ironically enough, was a Ford guy. He wasn't. He had a Ford, and we grew up in that Ford, and that Ford is still in the family. My cousin's husband, so my cousin and husband-in-law, he got it with 13,000 miles. It's
Wow.
a 72 Ranger. Yeah, and my grandpa
Nice.
would take me and my brother
That's
out
the F-100
fishing.
Ranger, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then ironically, I never knew this. My uncle was saying something. He goes, "Oh, Grandpa traded 54 5-window for that."
Oh, really?
For that Ford. So
Oh,
he
wow.
was a Chevy guy.
Where do you think like this Ford versus Chevy thing is obviously just like what you grew up with?
Yeah, for the most part.
It's almost like, do you know anyone that grew up with Fords and transitioned into
some
Chevys
do.
or like
Yeah, some do.
or
Yeah,
or the
I mean, like
opposite,
in
or-
my family, my dad was a Ford guy, but it wasn't like maybe I'm developing this right now as a Toyota guy, but when I was a kid, it wasn't like this is the Fords, we buy Fords and you're always driving Fords. It was, no, he just had Ford trucks. Like he just liked, the F100 body style.
Yeah.
And, but I got into Chevy, so it wasn't necessarily like a thing. Like,
But some families are a thing.
No,
But
it wasn't.
me- but
for
I'm
me, it was a
creating
thing.
that.
Yeah.
For me, even weird because I grew up in a small town. So I grew up in a small town in Montana,
Okay.
and we had Chevys. And for whatever reason, I don't remember like not loving Fords or liking Fords, but man, I loved Chevys. Just the way they
That's
looked.
yeah. See, that's what I'm saying.
And then my
yeah.
buddy, like my best friend, they were all Fords. But I loved his dad's truck. He had what was called the Highboy, and we would go out in that thing, and I was like, oh, I love it. Like probably my favorite Ford of all time was his dad's red Highboy, and then he got a Ford, and then it turned into a little bit of a joke, right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, okay.
So he always liked the Cowboys, and I liked the Steelers, and then he liked Fords, and I liked Chevys, and it was kind of one of those things growing up, just a little back and forth. And then for whatever reason, I mean, even though Fords for me, and I think kind of Dodges, there's a few Dodges that are kind of cool, but some people are diehard. Like I mean,
yeah.
Chevy or Dino tries to be Mr. Diehard, like Fords, no Fords, bring your Chevy motor. I'm not like that. I think old trucks are cool, old cars. I mean, mini trucks. I mean, you look at how we grew up, and we had such just a versatile. You could pick anything. I look at like music. People are like, we grew up and you were listening to your parents' country, pop of the 70s, and I can literally, I've had guys tell me, like, speaking about your iPhone 1, or remember the old pods or shuffles or whatever. Dude, I had people like, what is on your thing? And it's
Just
like,
an eclectic
dude,
mix.
you could throw a dart, and I'll listen to Alabama, to Motley Crue, to, Five Finger Death Punch. It doesn't matter. We had such a variety.
Yeah.
We're a unique generation when you think about it.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that the old trucks have in common is, one, they're old, and they were just simple. They were just these, you know what I mean? Everything was just roll-up windows.
And it still will be on the road today.
Exactly. And when you get in that and you feel that, like I was talking about this yesterday, but like I bought a little 94 Nissan hardbody, standard cab, manual.
Yeah, love it.
And I hadn't driven one. It would have been like 15 years since I had been daily driving my Tacoma. So when I got in that, I just was like this time warp, like right back to high school when I used to daily my Nissan in high school and drive my mini truck. You know what I mean? I was just like, oh, it's all familiar.
Yeah.
All that when you go to change the heat, it goes tick tick, like it goes click click. It pulls the cords and stuff. Yeah, it just takes you back to like this thing.
Yeah, I grew up selling old cars. That's sort of like how I cut my teeth in this whole automotive thing. And I remember my family had a vintage car lot, and so I remember the old heads coming up on there and being like, this is so cool. When I was in high school, this takes me back. And as a young kid, you're just like an idiot, So I'm like, yeah, whatever, man. And so I go through that.
Whatever,
but then
now you're that guy.
I am. So we picked up like an early 90s, like 1993 1500 OBS extra cab, which my first truck was a 91. And I was like, oh, that's cool. We got it for like a ranch truck to go around the property and stuff. And I get in it, and same thing. I just transported, because I've known my wife since high school, and we got in this thing where like, that's weird. And then all of a sudden I went back to those old heads that I was given. I'm like, I'm so sorry, dude.
I have my original 72 C10 that I bought from the original owner. I still have it, and I took it to work. This is back in early 2000s, and a guy jumped in and he goes, oh my God, this is like I'm riding around with my Tata. He's like, it smells like my Tata, everything. And I'm all, yeah. And then I bought an 88 GMC OBS, and my wife got in it, and she's like, are we in high school? Like
it's so weird.
It just flashes
it's so
back.
weird.
And you're like, the smell, just the way it looks, and manual cranks, and yeah, it's a good time. So that's why I tell people everything from 12 to 25, you're going to go back.
Right,
I mean?
right.
I do think it's going to change a little bit because they have so much variety. They're going to want to go play the old video game or whatever it is. I don't think they care quite about the automotive. It's not the freedom that we had. Because some of my kids, they want to drive the day they turn 16, and some of them have been like, okay, whatever.
Driving is not the freedom thing anymore, because for me, it was like I was stuck in the house. There was no other mode of transportation except my BMX bike.
Or no other like access
Skateboard.
to the world.
Yeah. Like I had my bike, and I used to ride my bike everywhere. But I lived on top of a big hill. So to get back home, I could physically not ride the bike up the hill.
Grinders out there.
Yeah. You could
He
not.
had a sign.
Yeah.
He would take it down to the mall, and then to get home,
I
he'd
would
be
just
like,
coast. I never pedaled.
Yeah.
Just coasted. Yeah. But literally, the hills were so steep, you could not drive up unless you had like a mountain bike or whatever. But
something to switch gears in.
Yeah.
Could you imagine skateboarding up that thing?
Yeah.
You're like, nah, walk.
Skateboarding down it would be way fun.
No, yeah, it's dumb out like that.
But like now, my wife's sister moved in with us one time for a little while, and she was 21, didn't have her license yet.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
She didn't need it, and because she had her freedom, she could just get on her phone, order up an Uber, go somewhere.
Yep.
Right? Like, so that it's just different like that.
Yeah, it's just like you're just to expand on that is just like now the young generation has such an access to literally everything in the world. You know, like to go to back when I was a kid, like if I want to meet up with my friends, I'd have to get my truck, drive over to Carl's Jr., sit there and wait for someone else to roll
you didn't even
up.
know when they were going to be
You just did that.
checking your pager.
You just did that.
Where are you?
Walked up to Carl's Jr. and just someone will come eventually and we'll figure it out.
They'd roll by and it'd be like bikes in the front yard.
Yeah,
You'd be
yeah,
like,
exactly.
You're just driving
Frank's at Carl's Jr. All right, cool. Get home from work. What time's Tommy get off work?
And then they would have to wait there too because they couldn't call the rest of the guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Time was slower, right? And
time was slower.
Now we're hauling ass. First time I ever went to Chicago, and I was at that point over 21. And you get on. Have you ever been to Chicago? Everyone?
Yeah.
Well, just the way you can move around, right? I'm like, man, if you were a kid back then, I was like
New York.
If you were a kid, you could go anywhere and everywhere because there's so much mass transit. And I'm like, freedom, right? But even though we had plenty of freedom, we had a car. It wasn't like you couldn't. But the adventure of being able to
those cities, like especially like New York, Boston, the cities with good public transportation, it's different than L.A. and Phoenix. Terrible public transportation. Yeah. So like,
but we're so spread out.
Exactly. So they built up, we built out.
Yeah.
So if we want to get somewhere, it's just insane. Like you have to own a car.
Yeah.
But there, you don't have to have a car.
No, you don't.
You don't even have to have a big apartment. You could just have this little thing, and then you could just walk downstairs and eat at any of these amazing restaurants. So it's like it's just a different way of living.
Cool way.
Yeah. But I just remember being 15 and just like even at 15 I was driving.
Yeah, for sure. We were messing around all the time. We're like, we just wanted freedom.
Yeah.
Somebody older had a car, obviously.
Yeah, you'd be like, hey, what's up?
It didn't matter. We could find our way. And, and our parents had no clue. They really had no clue.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad worked in L.A., so like 60 miles from our house, and he would leave at like 1 in the afternoon and not come home till midnight, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Just like
my
Dad's
parents
gone.
were divorced, so my mom wasn't there. I would leave school after fourth period, after lunch, not go to fifth and sixth period, and walk over the mountain and home, and no one was there. So just imagine the few years, that year or so that I was doing that. Yeah, we got into we did a lot of things.
Yeah.
Definitely. So back to your truck journey. You're from Montana. You grew up in like a Chevy household. You said you had a car was your first vehicle.
Yeah, the 1981 Horizon, which is like a Dodge Omni.
Oh, okay. I can't picture that. But so what was your first
rabbit,
truck?
like a rabbit.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking.
Like
now I
rabbit,
do.
it was
Now
a
you say,
Plymouth
yeah,
Horizon.
very like square.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I actually had picked up a couple Dodge Dakotas. I always wanted the square body S10. And they had just stopped making that.
Oh, really?
About that point. And
So this is like mid 90s.
Early 90s.
Early 90s.
Yeah. So then I bought. At one point, I did get the ZR2 round S10, but prior to that, I bought like a 94 Dodge Dakota.
Okay.
Yeah, so
so the square body ones.
Yeah, it was single cab, but it looked a lot like the S10s. Yeah, I always loved the S10s. I wanted a single cab 4x4 S10.
Nice.
Short bed S10. My wife had an 86 Blazer, kind of just like my son's, but hers was 4x4. Worst engine, just horrible motors. Just pieces of shit.
Yeah.
But then I bought a K10, 72 K10, orange and white, or ochre and white. 4x4. I had that when I first got hired in the fire department. So I moved here in 7th grade to Phoenix. So,
from Montana.
Yep. Yeah. So then got my license in 9th or 10th grade, and freedom. Drove that little Plymouth around for all high school. And, it's one of those things when you're in high school, you have a car like that, and you're kind of like. And the school I went to, people had money, and you kind of like this car, but I wouldn't change it for the world. You know what I mean? Looking back, you give your car your personality, and I used to get mad at my friends. I'm like, hey, just because it's a piece of shit, you don't have to treat it like a piece of shit.
Yeah,
this is my piece of shit.
I've had
this
that.
is my piece of shit, And so I know plenty of kids that got brand new cars on their birthdays, and or mom or dad's used Mercedes or something. But yeah, I wouldn't change it. Loved it, and it was a fun little car. Had a blast. I'll never forget, because I got my license in October of '89. And I always like to say I drove in the 80s, but I wasn't for very long. But there was one point in that little car where I had me driving, a dude with the chick lap, dude, chick, and a chick. So however many, 6, 1, 10 people in this car.
Yep.
And leaving our school parking lot, we had open campus, just bottoming out on every speed bump, you know, because it was
we've all done
freedom.
that.
Everybody,
Yeah.
if you think back, it's like freedom. Who's got a license? It's open lunch. Now we can leave because we've been stuck here eating lunch for however long, you know, and it just kind of evolves. And it's funny how our automotive journey, my first truck was a K10 and then I got a C10 and, I still have that C10 to today. One of these days it'll get.
That's not the orange one.
It is an orange and white 72.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's an orange and white short bed.
Not orange slice. That's okay.
No, it's a 72. Even though I have a lot of squares, I mean, I love 67 72s.
That's like the, because I not new to the whole C10 world because I've kind of like existed with you guys a little bit, but I'm learning. So that is that's the one. 67 to 72 is the one.
Depends on who you talk to,
Oh,
right?
okay.
People grow up with squares and they just love those squares. But yeah, if I took all the vehicles that I have or have had, I'm never selling my 72. I have a 72 K20, which is a 4x4 3/4 ton. That was my wife's grandpa's.
Oh, nice.
I'll never sell that. And then probably maybe a square, maybe the Blazer that I'm trying to take to SEMA 2025. Well, I'd probably sell it. I would sell it. Yeah, but yeah, it's hard to pick, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
But,
no, for sure.
yeah, I grew up with a 74 K5 Blazer. When
Okay.
we were kids, we had a 74.
That was like your first like truck.
That was
No,
that was.
I'm
that was
getting a
my-
little confused.
That was my parents.
Oh, okay.
So as a kid, we had a 74 K5 Blazer. That was our family truckster. That was camping. My mom's rig. So yeah, we grew up around Chevy trucks. My dad had trucks. My mom had the Blazer. And so then you kind of want to get back. But the pinnacle for a lot of people, especially from the forum, is going to be really that. What's funny, even to confuse you more, is 71, 72 trucks were probably the pinnacle in, let's just say, 02. Well, then people started getting the 68s, and they're like, oh, man, look at that truck. So I think 68s, 67, 68, I think they're more popular
Do you think
now.
it's just because they look the best? Like, looks are subjective, right? Everyone has an opinion on what looks best and stuff, but
So that's a 68.
Oh, okay.
That body style. So it's very sexy body style.
yeah,
It is,
It's
yeah.
like a
Slope
hot
front
rod.
slope front, and the Chev is even better. The GMC, for me personally, looks are subjective. Some people love the GMC. I don't. I like the Chev. It is funny if you look over the 50 years of GMC and Chev. Some trucks look so good with the GMC, like a OBS looks so good with the GMC
Yeah.
front grille.
Yeah, I do prefer the GMC front end.
And a GMC front grille looks really good too for a certain period of time. And yeah, so it's funny how it switches out. Like
Yeah.
in my NBS, which I have 07 Classic, all Chev. I would never want a GMC front end.
That's true. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just-
It's all just different.
Yeah.
Why do you think that the like early mid 60s trucks don't get that much love?
So the 60 to 66, those are unique. You know, I think Dell and Dino really gave them a real good start for a while, and they call them a loaf of bread. If you look at them, they kind of
That makes sense.
They kind
Yeah.
of look like that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
They just don't have the class. I don't think
Really?
they're still more.
Which is funny because
utilitarian.
from my perspective, my favorite ones are the early mid 60s, and then jumping to the square bodies. Like
So you're
those
completely
are cool.
skipping the.
Yeah, like those are cool. I like them, but I don't know. There's again subjective, all that. You know.
I like to call those the second gen C10, 67, 72, but because of the forum, I think everybody just says 67, 72.
Oh, I see.
It's almost just like a run on. 67,
Yeah,
72.
yeah.
It would be interesting to take everyone out. Like if you never saw this vehicle, you don't know what anything is, you don't know what's cool, you don't know
Oh,
what's
that's-
popular,
uh-huh.
and you don't know what's trendy or anything, and you just pulled a blanket off it, and they opened the eyes, and you had two sitting there.
Yeah.
One
You're like,
was
which
like
one do
the
you like?
trendy one, and one was not. And the person, like Frank, because this is Frank, right?
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, well, I like 4-door cars. I don't like 2-door.
That's my thing.
Right, right? And I'm like, you like 4-doors because they're the uncool kids.
Yeah, yeah. You're the
yeah.
antisocial social
Yeah,
club.
exactly,
yeah.
right? So, but it would be funny to like pull the wool off and see what they're like. Are they basing their opinions on the trendy or just the actual looks? Because honestly, if you took like one of those snout nose Chevys, what is those early ones, right? The early '60s.
Oh, the one.
Oh,
yeah.
a pig nose?
The pig
Yeah,
nose.
pig nose
God,
ones,
yeah.
Yeah, anyone that goes,
Yeah,
that's
60
my
to 60
favorite.
60 to 61. yeah. Well, and there are people, and there are times where people build them, and you're just like,
Like, oh wow.
damn.
And then, but
But here's what I love about
will
it.
they ever go? Well, that's my favorite. It looks way better than that.
No,
and you're
you-
just like,
Yeah, you're
no,
like,
that's when opinions go out the window.
Yeah, but hey,
He's like, you're lying.
different folks, different strokes. And thank God. And I that's a big thing for the reunion is I open it up to Fords and Dodges and any Toyotas. It doesn't matter, right? Ben, that's how I met Ben. Well, I try to tell guys like, dude, I like hot blondes with a nice meat butt, but I don't mind looking at a redhead every now and then. And if we constantly look at the same blonde with the same meat butt, you're going to get tired of looking at C10s.
Yeah.
So if we don't start looking at other trucks,
that's true.
And I almost like go to truck shows and I want to look at something else. I'm like, damn, look at that Ford. Oh, look at that Dodge. Oh, look at that Toyota. Because I see so much C10s that it becomes the norm. And kind of going back to the pig nose, I feel like a lot of times the way a pig nose looks so classy is because of the patina.
Yeah.
So somebody will find it where it's all patinaed out, and you're like, oh yeah. And another big thing on that generation is it's a wraparound window till 63, and then 4, 5, 6 they made the A post go forward, so it's not quite a wraparound. Whereas that's a lineage to the old Tri-5 trucks, Task Force trucks, where they get that wraparound. So people just don't like that style as much. But if you do love it or like it, like a 4-door car, you're like, oh no, I like the wraparound. I like the. I'm sticking in. I'm digging my heels in. You know.
Yeah. Well, it's choice. And then so now. The late 50s, you're like, I'm not even messing with those.
Well, they look great. It depends. Some guys really love that Task Force. You know,
Yeah.
I
think like a 57, 58 Apache truck looks sick.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
those
you
are sick.
can't
Well,
deny-
I mean, Switch just built that one.
Yeah.
For Dixon.
For
like
Dixon.
that thing is sick.
Yeah, unbelievable.
It's super bad.
Unbelievable. And those look great. They get on the ground.
Yeah.
And the way that truck is built with the step, because that's like an S10 chassis. They're so narrow, and then that step is already all the way down. So those things look so great because you can build them. Homegrown builds those things, right? And you build those things right on the ground, and they just look so good.
Almost anything. If you take it and you're like, that doesn't look very cool, and then you put it on the ground with the right proportion set of wheels, and you're just like, okay, that's badass.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is.
You're right.
It doesn't matter
You're
what
right.
it is.
Hey, how many times have you been on Instagram and just seen this weird car just laid out? It's like your first car. Imagine that car laid out
100%.
on some
So-
3-piece wheels.
Yeah.
Be like, whew.
I'm going to show you a picture of this car because I have a picture of this car. But so my wife and I were in Tempe about a year ago, and a guy pulls up in one of those cars, and I was like, I couldn't wait for him to get into the bar. I'm like, oh, dude. And he goes, dude, I found that thing at a junkyard. It's 9 out of 10. It's like mint, and he made a little race car out of it.
That's cool.
And I'm like, hey, do you mind if I walk out there and I look at it? And the same thing. I'm like, oh my god, I wish I had it back.
I know.
wish. Which this car, I barely even. I could stand the car for 4 or 5 years that I drove it, and then I'm like, dude, that thing is so awesome. And I was just giving him all this praise, and you're like, nah, I would never want it, but just because I had it. And most people are like, that car's ugly, you know.
Well, I don't know, man.
Yeah, anything like Ford Taurus station wagon.
Yeah.
You look at that with the big old bubble butt back on it, and you're like, that's a dumb looking car,
Somebody
right?
will probably
It
do it.
laid out.
No,
and
no.
you're like,
Someone did a rendering of one, and I can never find it, but it's laid out, and I'm just like, that's the baddest thing ever.
Well, what's the ugliest car? Just think of the ugliest car that you can
Like
think
a
of.
Pontiac Aztec.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, Pontiac Aztec. Would you take?
That'd be a hard
so
one.
I was thinking of Lumina.
Lumina's that's a bad
No,
one.
no,
Yeah,
not the
yeah.
Lumina. Is it called the Lumina? The van. What's the van?
Oh, the
Aerostar or something like that.
the
No,
one
that's
that
a Ford.
the one that
No,
used to
Aerostar's
stack on
sick.
each other to and then hit the side with a baseball bat. Yeah, because it had that thing like that was their marketing thing. I know what you're talking about.
That Pontiac Buick van, and then think Ford made the Ford Aerostar, right?
Yeah.
Dude, think about one of those slammed out. An Aztec Slam would be pretty bitchin'.
So an Aztec, you think Aztec, you're like, that's dumb, right? But then look at a Lamborghini Urus.
oh yeah.
Okay? They're very similar in their body lines and the way they look. So if you take all the stuff from a Urus, big
Get outta
wheels,
here, you're crazy.
yeah, hey,
No, he's
anything
right.
is possible.
What about an Eagle? Remember the AMC Eagle cars? They were like the first 4-wheel drive SUV
Oh, those
cars.
are cool though.
Slam
Yeah.
one of those.
Yeah, or lift it.
Well,
Or-
they were kind of lifted.
Or
but
do
yeah.
like a Baja where it's tucking tire, so it's got a ton of droop.
Yeah.
So just like it's just
Oh,
it
yeah,
looks
Baja
lowered, but with a
AMC
big.
Eagle. That would
yeah.
be tight.
Yeah.
Full travel, long travel Eagle.
Yeah, and imagine it just doing
Frank could
100.
drive the whole family. It's a four-door.
Yeah, down
He
his
could-
road.
Down my road.
Apple Valley Road. Just eating up the whoops in an AMC Eagle. Oh, my God.
That'd be sick.
Probably have to have an LS conversion. But
with all his
yeah.
kids harnessed up.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of that, I got a speeding ticket on the way here.
Oh, that's
Really? In the Ford?
In the little Mavi.
I
The
love
Mavi.
I do like Mavs. A lot of guys don't really like them. I think they're kind of cool.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah. How come you don't put some graphics on that thing? Put some grinder
He's all,
graphics
he's
on
all
it.
relax.
Relax, I got something.
He's
going.
working on
Calm down.
Calm down.
Calm down.
No graphics.
Well, you've
yet.
had it a little while.
I have.
Yeah,
And-
I want
and-
some 80s little heartbeat graphics on there.
No, it'll stay white.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, just a little graphic on there.
Just a little
Yeah, a little Spider-Man.
coming out of the corner. Little
Frank peeping his head up.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. I like it.
out of the back window.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
You're going to do FU Mega on the license plate?
All right,
You
so
should get that.
about your
You should get
your
that.
truck.
You should get that plate. FU,
Yeah.
no space,
Yeah.
MAGA, right
Just for
there.
a conversation.
Oh,
piece?
people would love it. Driving
yeah.
through town.
What?
All of
It's
a
like when
sudden-
you put a sticker on.
All of
the
a
back
sudden,
some-
search engines, you're like, hey, babe, the analytics are kicking ass.
This is really good for me.
Yeah, we're just posting. Hey, why do you just go to Gilbert and post up there on the corner all the time?
I'm just ordering different political flags. I don't care what the affiliation is.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get my.
Did you see
analytics up.
the there's a political sign up the road here? It's
Is it Dixon Butts?
Dixon Butts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, someone snuck that in there, or is that real?
No, it's
No,
no,
Oh, it's real.
It's a guy and his name's Dixon Butts.
Oh, wow.
DIXON
Yeah.
Butts.
That's
They sell
that's
merch.
impressive.
He's a real person, but he's not a real political.
They
Oh,
they
I
usually
see.
will take the signs down.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have merch.
Oh, that's awesome.
What about the girl in the wheelchair and it says "I stand for nothing"?
I didn't
Have you
see
seen that one?
No.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Well,
Is that a Dixon Butts thing?
It's kind of the same. It's just the
Same vein.
It's a parody on all these dumb political.
Yeah,
stuff.
so maybe you should do that and then push it all the traffic to Grinder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds
I
like a
stand
good
for
idea.
nothing.
Yeah, that's okay.
I stand for analytics.
Stand for analytics.
Look, I don't care
Engagement.
what you believe in.
Clickbait.
Buy a shirt.
Yeah.
Clickbait while you're here.
Yeah.
So I had an interesting thing I wanted to talk to you about. So like you exist, having these trucks and getting into trucks like in the mid 90s ish, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're here in Arizona. You're getting into these trucks. What was your kind of interaction with like the truck clubs around here, or were you aware of like the mini truck clubs or truck clubs in general? And how come you like? Because you've never been in a truck club or anything, right?
No, and I definitely know or knew of the truck clubs back
Like,
then.
yeah, did you know there was a truck scene with truck shows,
Yeah.
mini truck shows, or even anything? Because like back then, the C10s it was all just one thing.
Yeah. No, definitely there was truck scenes. There was a guy, and I thought I was talking to you. There was a guy that I worked with. I worked at Caterpillar Empire Machinery, and there was a guy, and I think his name was Travis, and he was he had like maybe it wasn't OBS. I was thinking it was like a 99-ish truck, but it wouldn't have been at that time. So it had to be an OBS. And he was all into, I can't remember his affiliation at the time, but he was all into, he's probably going to Rezo and stuff like that. At that point, I was just into K10 and four-wheel driving and always dreaming of having a 72 two-wheel drive short bed.
So yeah, so you kind of like lived in a space of like lifted trucks, off-roading, outdoors kind of
Yeah,
things.
yeah. I just had my
Not show truck type.
Yeah.
No, and kind of go to like Barrett Jackson, and I would say my truck culture changed even more once I got in the fire department because there was other guys that had trucks and started interacting with those guys in their trucks. Hey, let's go to Good Guys, let's go to Barrett Jackson, and then you'd meet more people. Meanwhile, I'm kind of doing the truck forums, things like that.
Now, were you a lurker on the forums?
I was for a while on the 6772.
And so, did you know where you're like, hey, I need to figure out, like, when did you figure out I want to be involved in this scene?
Once you want to be involved more, then you get in more.
Yeah.
Right? And it all comes down to time and your investment of how much time. So I'm one of those guys where I've not enough time and too much hobbies and fun things to do. So whether that might be your family, hunting, whatever else, and then you kind of make a leap of faith. I had a Jeep Scrambler, which is cool too. Where that's kind of the extended version of a Jeep back then, like
Yeah,
a
I know what you're talking
CJ7.
about. Yeah.
And then finally you're like, okay, I got to make I really like
Yeah.
C10s.
Am I going jeeping?
Yep,
Oh,
yep.
uh-huh.
And I had put a bunch of money into a Jeep and built it and went off road and went to Utah. Would take it out with my buddies, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm making a decision. I want to be a C10. I love C10s, and I like them more. And I can still go wheeling with other stuff. And you can wheel with a K10, right?
Yeah.
So at that point, you kind of make your decision, and you kind of go one way. And then you get all in. Some guys, if you think about it, they go all in, and then they go all into mountain biking. Then they go
yeah,
all
yeah,
into
switching.
motorcycles, and then they go in.
Yeah,
and then
that's what I was gonna say, because you're just this like, I don't know what type of like personality you are, but you're just very on
yeah,
all the time. And when you're like, so I could just see you on the forums lurking, and you're just like, hey, I want to be involved in this, and I'm just going to go for it. Like, I'm going to meet these guys. I'm going to like basically what you are, where you are now. We have the podcast. You're just involved in so much stuff, you know?
It's cool. The pod, the forum really helped the pod and gave me the kind of the like, I wouldn't say it was courage, but it was just the confidence to go, hey, I know people are going to want to hear their stories. We talk to one another on the forum, whether it's through direct messaging or, hey, how's your build? And then you watch these guys and their builds. I think the pod's really changed. I don't know if I would say for the good or the bad, but when I first started the pod, people didn't know who the people were, and they wanted to know.
And was that you? You were like, I like this person's interesting, and this person's interesting. People should know about these people.
When did you start the podcast?
2014.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Next.
Wow.
Yeah,
You're like an OG.
10 years in September.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. I was just like, I remember I was talking to Sam, and I was like, hey, I think I'm going to do this. He's like, no, don't do this. You know, and it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, I got to go all in, and very ahead on the curve of pod. I was listening to business pod, and I was like, I think people are going to want to, you know, and I'm like, I want to know.
Was there any automotive podcast back then? Adam Carolla.
Adam Carolla had.
Oh, way back then.
Yeah,
was
yeah,
there
He
too? Oh,
Adam
okay.
Carolla was one of the very first podcasters
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
really
there's
was.
there's some not as well known podcasters that really were the first, but he was kind of like where it was like a famous person
Sure.
type.
Yeah,
And then
he had that. He kind of built his own little network. And I was listening to Adam Carolla, Ace. I was listening to this one. It was called Business on Fire or something. I forget. And it was just listening to all these different pods or a few different pods. And I was like, man, we really need to do this. And Sam had kind of come from the radio world, so I feel like he was kind of like, I don't think it's gonna go. And then it just went. It was just like, and I would say about my third year. And it was funny because a lot of guys at work were like, even different trucks that I would bring to this, they'd be like, oh, that's a rusty old truck. And you're like, they have no vision, right? And then they're like, now they want to buy that same truck. I wish I would have bought that truck from you. Like, you were talking shit about that truck.
Yeah.
And then the podcast as well was really funny where the podcast, because in the fire department, you have like, that's like a family, right? And then you have your real family, you have your fire family, you have your truck family, you have your extended friends. So there's all these different moving parts, and guys are like, oh yeah, whatever, your podcast. And then
they were
it's
making
time.
fun of you.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Well, that's another way.
Your little radio.
Yeah,
show.
yeah. And another thing with that is that's the love language in the fire service too,
Right, yeah.
But it was more fun.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're like, oh wow, like, and then guys would go with me to truck shows, and they'd be like, holy crap,
Yeah.
like, this is a real deal. Like, this isn't just some little thing where you have like 3 people listening.
Right, right.
And then you explain to them, and now they're like, oh yeah.
Who's one of your fire guys or fire buddies that wasn't into trucks that is now? Is it like Goose?
No, Goose was always into trucks.
Always into trucks?
Goose was into trucks. Dan has pretty much always been in trucks, grew up with trucks. I would say G Breezy. You met
Yeah.
G Breezy. He's more just kind of like, he always liked trucks. He had Blazers growing up. But he just kind of like, he really always likes Toyotas. He kind of wants a K10. But then I think his, it's like, hey, I have the means for one extra vehicle. I'm always just going to go with a Toyota. He's a big mountain biker guy. But he just likes to hang. So there's definitely people out there that, lately guys have really, like, there's a handful of guys like, find me a truck.
Yeah.
And one guy I use all the time, his name's Willie, and he finally got one. But for 10 years, just constantly, find me a truck. And I'd find him trucks, and then they're like, no, that's too much money. Oh, that's too much money. And then now they've spent double what they would have just spent if they would have bought it when they should have.
And that first podcast you did was with Dino, and you learned real quick that things don't always go correctly.
Yeah, so my first pod ever was, I did a quick intro with me, and then it was my birthday, October 6th of 2014. I went to Dino's, I worked it out, and I already had a decent relationship with Dino. And
But was he, at that point, was he still kind of like here? Like, as far as like, when you see someone that's well known and you're just like, it feels like you don't want to bug them, or you don't want to, like,
yeah, no, I would
like
say
their time, like,
I would
you're
say-
aware of their time.
I would say yes. For me, even at that point, but I still feel that way. I don't like to, but I mean, yeah, I could pick up the phone right now and he would pick it up. And whereas back then it wasn't quite the same.
I see
Right?
what you're saying,
You think about the relationship, and the other thing too is at that point, not that I'm young at that point, but he's the older OG.
Yeah.
Just
So
in
you're
the
always
scene,
kind of,
well,
and just respectful, right? You're like, hey, Cat. So go to Dino's, go to the shop, and man, I'm so pumped. And what happened, just the Reader's Digest version of it is the Mac computer shut down in 15 minutes, and my recorder still showed red.
Oh, so you thought you're just...
Oh, we thought we were going, and I get home, and I was crushed, and I was just like, maybe I'm not supposed to be a podcaster. This is a sign.
Yeah.
I call him, and he goes, just come back. And the only thing about that first pod, I literally like went home, got some birthday cake, went back, took some birthday cake.
Oh, you did it again?
We did it again.
Oh, that's
the
awesome.
The only problem was he could tell what I was going to, and the first one was phenomenal. And, and it was still
organic.
Good. But it was some of the different things that I asked him, and it was still good.
Right on.
It shows who Dino is.
Yeah.
He did not know what fuck was a podcast. He had no clue what a podcast was. And sometimes I'm still like, do you even still understand it?
That's funny.
Yeah. And then what was really fun too was that get down. So I think what happened was Brothers was June, and I was like, hey, I'm going to start this podcast. So I didn't really start it yet.
Brothers was a show in SoCal that.
Oh, it was a huge show. They did it for like 23 years,
Yeah.
and this is actually this last June was they stopped it. So they got bought out by Holly. Holly's decided not to do it anymore. Oh. But they so then, hey, I'm gonna do this. I'm telling all these people, this is my grandiose idea. We're gonna do this radio show. Okay, people are, okay, Stove Cat, whatever, and then go to Dino's, do that pod. And then I covered the reunion the Get Down live.
Oh,
and I have that first one. So this will be actually the 11th year I've done Get Down coverage, and that was huge because I think it actually really helped the Get Down because it just gave people a vision because things we weren't doing reels, we weren't doing YouTube, it was just a still picture,
right?
And then you gave it a voice, and so having that voice of what people thought, and somebody comes out from Ohio and somebody comes from Texas, and they're like, oh, this is, and then the rest is history. Right?
Is this a Get Down at the shop or at his house?
Oh, it was his only the first one was at his house. Then,
okay.
Then they were at
all the
shop.
rest were at the shop.
Yeah,
okay.
Until Big Surf, and then obviously it moved from there. But yeah, 2014, that was probably the third or fourth at the shop. Yeah.
And then, so when was the first Eastbound Get Down? That was 17, right?
15. No, 17. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, 17.
I always get those messed up.
Well, because like the first LSC that we went to was 15. Well, no, you went prior, but the first one I went to was 15, and we didn't go 16. Yeah. And then 17 was when we hooked up with you guys.
I did 16. I went, but what we did is we flew into Gas Monkey, and we hung out with the guys at Gas Monkey for a while.
That's the year that I skipped because I was putting the DVD together.
Right.
So I went on 16. We had a blast. Drove from Texas down to Conroe.
Texas, driving from Texas to Texas is quite a drive.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
No matter.
Driving from Texas to Texas. So we flew into Dallas, drove down to Conroe. That was a fun adventure. And then we put 17, and that was small, real small, eastbound and down, which was
the 17 one.
Yeah, that was super small, a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
And then it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Is 17 when we went to Aaron's?
Yeah, yeah, small, and that was when I took Yellowstone, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
And that was when the phone flew out.
Yeah.
We went to breakfast with Travis, stopped 19 times. His dad still gives me shit today.
Well, yeah, because you guys stopped the first time, and we were just
you guys were
like, we gotta go.
We'll see you at the second stop, which screwed us.
Well, we probably never even got caught up at that point because we were so far behind.
No, we drove straight to like Odessa. But it screwed us because the most fun you guys had was the first leg.
Oh God!
So filming wise,
yeah,
we missed all that.
Yeah. It will never be repeated, right? It's always the for the audience. Always go to the first thing. Go to the first show. Do the first. It's just never really
because those are the good old days.
Oh,
I miss the good old days. Well, that's what
that one is.
There was a lot with that truck that I would never even do today.
So we're talking about Yellowstone.
Yellowstone, single rear wheel with a huge camper, and just swaying all over the place.
How did that idea come for that? Because was like you wanted a camper because earlier you said your granddad?
No, my grandpa
bought a camper.
Yeah, he always had camper. No, so everybody was doing the same stuff, right? It was really and I wanted a crew cab, so find the crew cab, and it's like okay, the ultimate vision for the crew cab was to make it a short bed and all the way down type deal, right? Dell style wheels, real smooth, and just still that day, that vision, it's hard to get out of my head. But then the camper idea, I was like, dude, this will blow people away. and I had found a camper. A funny story. I'm back at the Brothers Show, either whatever year, a couple of years later, and I find this camper in Northern California, and it would have been just the most, like 10 of a 10 on campers. It was called the Siesta, and the colors. And I hit the guy up, and he's like, yeah. He's like, okay, it's for sale. And then he goes, no, I'm not going to sell it now. I want to use it for the summer. And I said, that's perfect, because you can use it and I'll be ready for it in the fall. And then we'll figure out how to get it. And it would have been a lot of work to get it, because it was in like literally almost Oregon border all the way up, right? And I kept, I'd reach out to the guy probably, let's say, every couple weeks. And he was definitely just an old grumpy dude. And then one day I call him and he goes, somebody's going to buy it. And I go, I thought you said you were going to keep it. And then he goes, yeah, I don't know if she's going to keep it, because she has a short bed and she's going to have to put her tailgate down. And I'm like, dude, this thing is an 11-foot long, anyway, never end up getting it. I'm in California for fall break with the kids. And I'm sitting there looking at, Craigslist, or at the time I think it was Craigslist. I don't think it was Marketplace.
Yeah.
And I see it in Lake Elsinore, the camper I ended up getting. So what happened was, the dad, I had a 72 Ford with a 73 camper, or 73 Ford, 74, either way. And he had passed. The granddaughter was getting the truck, and they didn't want the camper anymore. So I begged my family, hey, on the way home, can we swing by Lake Elsinore, and can we look at this camper? And as soon as I opened the door, it had yellow stove, yellow fridge, yellow everything.
You're like,
it's almost mint inside.
Yeah, mint.
Which is
very.
It's like
one owner. The dude was an engineer. Everything was like, it was mint. Yeah, definitely. And so ended up leaving it there. John Orwell has some family in Lake Elsinore, so they had a little lot. So we left it there, and then I came back in a couple months and picked it up. And then the whole thing kind of came together, and people are just like, oh my God, But then I had to kind of ditch the camper, the big camper, even though when I sold it, the big camper went with it. But it was just not, it needed a dually.
It never was like the perfect thing. Like you said, it's suede. My favorite part was when you guys tried to put the air mattress in between.
Well, we saw that we could put an air mattress between that space and make it more
the cab.
aerodynamic. So we go to Walmart. And we put this air mattress in between, and the space isn't even that much.
Right.
This isn't my favorite. My favorite part is when you played the music, or John did, and we were in the cab.
Oh yeah.
But so we go to Walmart. We're in the parking lot, and I don't even know where we were, New Mexico or something. And we're pumping it up, and it's like, this is going to be this greatest idea. And all of a sudden, the cab, because it's a crew cab, so it's a huge cab. And those cabs, the way they did those, they literally just seamed it. They seamed those whole things together and morphed this, two cabs together. And all of a sudden, the whole cab just goes, boom!
Oh, no way.
It, like, dents in, and I was just like, no! Stop, blow it up! Let the air out! And I don't remember who it was, and it wasn't me. And they're like, and they just go, boom! And they hit the headliner, and the whole thing goes, boom! Right back to where, and I was like almost in tears, because I was so upset and then so happy that this whole concave cab. Yeah. And then the drive line, we pull into like Dallas area.
I have to use the bathroom. You guys keep on going.
Right there.
Where's
right there.
Yeah, no, I'm like, oh God, I can't.
So we're going to Aaron's, right? Yep. So we're pulling into Dallas, wherever we're, and John had been driving, and then I get back into it, and I'm like, something's off.
Something's up.
And so I'm like, something's off. And I get tick, 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 tick. I can feel it, and I'm like, what is this? I think we went to a couple part stores.
Yep.
Anyway, the drive line ended up, and then you jumped. Were you in the back of the camper at that point?
No. So what happened was I rode with Frank, but Frank had to go pick up his wife down
at the
in
airport,
Houston,
or something like that.
Right, the next morning. So he just dropped me off at the hotel where we all stayed, and he left.
Yeah.
So I rode with you to the part stores and the errands, but there was only room.
But I think you were in the camper.
No, John had to be in the camper.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, and then that's his phone was hooked up.
His phone was hooked up, and that's when I thought, that's the moment. I didn't know who John was. Nothing. I just thought he was pissed at me because he's like, who's this new dude kicking me back in the camper? Right? Because I looked back there, and he's just like, I thought he was mad at me.
Yeah.
And then I found out he's like the head C10 thing, and I was like, oh, I feel bad. Like, this dude hates me. Like, who cares, this video guy? Grinder TV bumping me into the thing. But no, it was cool.
Yeah, and then the whole time he's getting ready to, what was it? It was oh gosh, I'll think of Rodney Coolio.
Yeah.
When the beat dropped.
Yeah.
And I think we were almost like going over a speed bump or something.
Yeah.
And we were going real slow back to Aaron's house, and he hit that, and I thought the whole driveline just dropped out of, and I stopped, and it was just that. And I think I had 210s in that truck and a little bit of a system, and Oro was completely playing it, and it worked out perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have so much footage of that.
Yeah.
You guys sleeping in it.
Oh yeah, it was a fun trip, and you can't go back. You know, the misery, the stress, but that truck that it made it there and back.
Oh yeah.
And it did it 3 times, and it wasn't. You know, that was the first time with the camper, and then I did Yellowstone Light.
Yep.
But yeah, just unbelievable to think that truck made
And on
it.
the way home, you guys went to Austin.
Yeah, we
Took
went
a
through
picture
Austin.
in front of the
Yep.
Capitol.
Yeah, it was, and then we went through Fredericksburg, and what a great time.
Yeah. That.
Long trip. Those are long trips.
What was the
were.
max speed that you think we were going in that thing?
Well, that thing would go 75.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
It would. It just had a turbo 400, and it would just hum. And you're like 3,300 RPMs, just
Yeah.
and just burning fuel.
Oh, I
Just
bet.
sucking down fuel.
What was
switching
the final
tanks.
total for that trip?
I remember like totaling up the fuel, and I did a little thing on Instagram like how much money the gas was or
Yeah.
whatever, and I think it was like 7-8 miles a gallon.
Oh wow.
Yeah, just sucking that fuel, and that was the whole mattress thing. We're like, oh, this is gonna make things so much
Give us
better.
10 miles of the
Yeah.
gallon.
It's literally just a brick wall just driving.
Yeah.
down the
Oh, for
road.
sure.
Yeah.
Especially all the wind out there, crosswind, headwind, and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
If it would have been a dually, it would have been so much better. But
Yeah.
because it was a single rear wheel, kind of small, skinny, tucked a
Yeah.
little bit, it just swayed so bad. It was just bad. And it had a factory rear sway bar.
And you were saying
factory front.
today you wouldn't do that adventure.
No, I don't think I would. I don't think I would. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm down for doing so. Honestly, one of the craziest adventure I'd say, and again, top trip of my life, was when I'll never forget. I'm sitting there on my phone, dropped lowered, sends me a text. It's Orange Slice. It's in Great Falls, Montana, which is where my mom's from. I couldn't call the guy fast enough. I called the guy. I'm explaining to him, like, I'm going to send you $500, like, now. And then I'm going to come pick the truck up. I'll give you the rest. And he's just like, okay. And I remember Big Fish, Todd Carpenter, he's always kind of been like, dude, I tried to get to that truck and you beat me. And I'm like, dude, you beat everybody on like 20 other trucks. You had an 100 square body auction. He's gotten plenty of trucks. So yeah, I ended up, so then what happens is buy the truck, kind of work it out with the guy. Doug, still talk to the guy, great guy. Brian actually filmed us when he had come down, and I said, dude, I'll meet you. And that's a fun time that we were able to capture.
Do you think guys like that, when you said, hey, I'm going to come, I'm going all the way up there, and do you think guys like that are like, why? Like they don't know the C10 craze. They don't know.
He had no clue, but he
anything.
was a Harley guy. And he had,
so he understands
him and his
the-
dad had used that truck to haul bikes.
Yeah, that's cool.
And he, I think I even tried to put it in perspective to that for him.
Yeah.
And then he kind of like, okay, still like, okay,
Yeah, like, why are you flying
whatever.
all
This
the way
is
up
just
here,
this
like-
old farm truck,
Yeah.
you know, and so yeah, then we work it out. And what had happened is I told Kyle Metalox and I told Kyle, or it's Kevin Stickle, I said, hey, one of you guys want to go? Well, Stickle lived in Calgary, so he had to work his way down to Great Falls. And then Kyle was just going to fly with me. And I said, hey, I'll get you a flight. Well, they both said yes. And it was one of those things where I don't think that was really the thought. I was like, oh, one of them will say
Yeah,
yes.
well, yeah.
And they were both like, no, let's do it. So Kevin and Kyle didn't really know each other that well. And it was 3 dudes, 1 truck. And,
Standard cab.
yeah, standard cab.
You drove it all the way back.
Oh yeah,
that's
and it
sick.
was so much fun. Well, here's the even funnier part of the story is so we're just gonna have this fun trip, and it ended up being such an adventure. But I remember talking to Jim Flanders from Brothers and telling him about this journey, and he goes, "Oh, dude, you're gonna get to where the Eclipse is."
Oh,
And
really?
and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Oh, there's an eclipse, and it's going right through where you guys are gonna be."
Oh,
Well, thank God we had booked the flights because we probably wouldn't even have made it, right? So I had a cousin. I go, hey, we're gonna go to lunch. So then I go, hey, we got to meet you at like 5:30 in the morning because we're gonna try to make it to Pocatello, Idaho for this eclipse. So I meet my cousin in Helena, which is the capital. Meet him real quick, have breakfast, and then haul ass down to wherever we can go. So we had got the glasses. I always keep 1 pair of glasses in the truck. They're still.
Oh, I know. Okay, yeah, I know.
They're still in the
Yeah.
truck. And so we got the glasses and we're driving and you can
That's
see the
right.
sun. And so finally we were just like, pull off. So we pull off, and what happened was there was all kinds of people pulled off on the road, like everywhere. It didn't matter where, they were all pulled off, Winnebagos and RVs and trucks, and it was a party. And so we pull off, and we're like, this is perfect. We pull right out in the middle of this field. We had beer, and we're like, okay, look, we got beer, we got our glasses, psh, let's go.
That's tight.
And so it was really cool, and it was just part of the adventure.
Yeah.
Until it's like, pick, I don't know, Woodstock, pick the biggest concert you've ever been to, whatever, and then everybody tries to leave at the same time.
Oh, just a little cluster.
It was Idaho Falls and Pocatello, Idaho, and everybody from Utah and California and Montana and Idaho were all in this same area, and they're all trying to leave, and we could not leave.
No.
We were stuck in traffic. Like, think about, like, California traffic. We were stuck, and so we're driving. We're like, screw it. So we go to some little bar, like, whatever time it was like midday. I go to the bar. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, let's go. We took a nap in the park. Okay, we just could not move. And finally, we were about 9 hours behind. Well, then Stickle had a flight, so we had to get home. So he's like, he pounds like 2 Monsters, 2 5-hour energies, and
just gets
Kyle Oxberger and myself are out. And he just drove all the way. Next thing I know, we wake up and we were in like St. George, Utah, close to Vegas. And we're like, and he's like, all right, I got us this far. Now I'm going to take a nap and you got to get us home. So, it ended up being, it was supposed to be a 2-hour or 2-day. I think we ended up making it 48 hours total. But either way, it was one of those things
that's
where.
mashing, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was so. And the one thing I'll tell people is that truck had no business, the 4 tires. And the guy, Doug.
Oh, you just jumped in this and you just went for it.
I told Doug, the owner, I said, make sure the AC's working. And we split the cost on that. He had to do some stuff for that. And I said, and just make sure I have 2 spare tires. And he's like, yep. And so when I dropped Kyle off, I took, I think I had to take Stickle like right to the airport. And I did a little quasi burnout. And I think one of the tires is almost like just shreds because they were literally like on their last leg.
But those kind of trips are the best.
Oh yeah,
they
like
are.
they're
But there's so much stress involved.
Oh yeah,
that you have to start to say where's the stress and aging, because there is a lot. And I would say the most stressful trip ever was definitely the Yellowstone trip.
Yeah.
That was white knuckle.
And what's interesting is if you would have just didn't know, I actually didn't know. I was kind of oblivious. I'm like, these guys are having a great time.
Well, you do have a great time.
Yeah.
And there's just a little underlying of constantly, am I going to make it? And unfortunately for me, definitely one of my just top 5 worst traits is I will push it to the minute. And we're going to leave at 5 a.m. and we were underneath us in that shop at 3 a.m, still trying to make sure every little thing. And then sometimes it's just a leap of faith. You're just like,
it's like we know,
just go.
We know when the shows are. You know when LST is every year.
I know. I have to
And
lie
you're
to myself. I know.
Like, oh, there's plenty of time left. I'm real bad at that. Like, if I had to meet Hugh here at 9, I'm like, okay, it's an hour and 20 minutes from my house, so I will leave my house at 7:40.
Yeah.
And then
I
I
need
go,
more time.
Like, I need more time.
I know.
6, especially getting pulled over.
Yeah, just get pulled over.
Yeah, you didn't break into that. What happened?
I had a speeding ticket.
Yeah, you were hauling, just moving.
I always talk crap to
cruising.
my wife because she drives like a maniac.
How fast were you going?
64 and a 45.
Oh,
But
It's a little
here's the
weird,
thing, because
though,
it's like
yeah.
you come down from. I live on this road with no lights in the middle of the desert, and it's 50. It's 55.
Oh, so you were like almost home.
Yeah, well, no, I was leaving my house like 10 miles from my house, and so when you get on the road, Sun Valley Parkway, it's a 10 to 12 mile drive
Without a
till you
stoplight.
get to anything. Anything. So there's a bridge that you cross over this wash, and the bridge goes from 55 to 45.
Like,
So-
once you crest it.
I always
yeah.
slow down to 50 when I get to the other side of the bridge. Well, I didn't do that in time. And
Yeah.
He's all.
And isn't
"Here
it
you
funny
go."
the one time you do that and you're like, you almost have to start to
No,
where
it's
you.
the same thing.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. Yeah, it's so dumb.
On Ray here, a lot of times we'll take Ray all the way to the 101, but there's like 4 cameras. So I just.
They still have
slow.
cameras?
Yeah, it's more of a red light camera versus
Oh,
a
okay,
speeding
okay.
camera.
Yeah.
But I'm always like,
Yeah.
And I tell my kids, my wife, I'm like, because so many people take Ray to get to that 101, like, just don't speed right there. One time we were in the fire truck on Ray in Arizona, and we blew the light, but we had license sirens, and I knew the cop that was in charge of that program. I'm all, dude, send us the pictures. And so I wanted the picture because the guy that was the driver of the fire truck at the time, and I'm sitting up front with the guy, we both were in the same academy together, and I was like, I'm getting this frame for you, dude.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was because the truck's so high, it was like, you could like see this part of our body down, and then more of the front bumper of the fire truck. You couldn't see like our faces.
That would have been a cool picture, though.
Low Life Mike borrowed our buddy Ernie Macias's like Volvo SUV or something one time, and Ernie lived in
Got a
SoCal.
bunch of tickets.
Ernie lived in SoCal. Mike lives out here. There used to be a ton of more cameras out here. Well, he blew a red light, and he knew it was going to get a picture, so Mike did this. Never told Ernie. Ernie gets this picture, this speeding ticket in the mail, and it's clearly Mike going like this.
Yeah,
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It was worth it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Was Yellowstone your first lowered like foyer? I guess I tried to say that yesterday. I couldn't say it. Anyway, your first delve into lower trucks.
Yeah. First to that point to where, because that Picacho was a bag truck. That was a 68.
This one right here on the photo?
Yeah. And that's a forum build, pre-Instagram build.
Oh,
so
okay.
So that one was that one's in Farmington, New Mexico. For the audience, 68 C10. That was another trip too. I forgot. I bought that in like Placerville.
In California?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Found it online. Bought it at Placerville. I guess I do kind of like those trips. So what I did is a Legion Air, this is way back. Put all my tools in a cooler and then just fly, and then I undo my tools.
Out of Mesa right here, right?
And then I put my
A Legion Air, flew to Stockton or something?
Yeah, so it went to Stockton. Yep. I got a rental from Stockton to Placerville, and then got in no Picacho, and it was all stock, and it's a 307 with a 3 on the tree.
Oh,
and I
nice.
drove it all the way home.
You could have
cool.
had the ultimate YouTube channel before Vice Grip.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't really break down though. I didn't really. So I did break down though a little bit. What happened was I made it all the way to Quartzsite, and I pull into a gas station right off the 10, and it won't start. And I'm like, oh man, why won't this thing start? And so everybody comes up, hey, I like your truck. Some old guy, I like your truck. And I'm all, hey, do me a favor, pop the hood. I'm all the old for those old distributors. It has that old school. It's like a wire that holds down the dog bone, holds down the distributor. So
I know, yeah.
But they kind of made a newer one where it's a lot more metal and a lot more holding down versus the original ones. They're literally like a hardened wire, like a certain gauge, but they break. So I could see the distributor had broke. And I go, hey, just hold this distributor and work it through for me. Or it was vice versa. Maybe I put him in there and I was doing that.
Yeah.
Finally, it just, boom. And I just took duct tape. And I'm like,
Oh, there you go.
I can't let this thing move.
Yeah.
And again, it was a 3 on the tree, 307. So it's not like I was going much more than 60 miles an hour on the 10.
Yeah.
Wow.
People just
That's
fly.
a long journey.
Oh, yeah. People flying by me.
Wow.
Made it home. That was the only thing. And then, changed it up. Did a forum build, and again, that was before Instagram. So what you would do is you would take all these pictures, have to figure out how to download them. Ask my wife, okay, how do I take the card out? How do I take that picture and put it on here? And
So have to upload like Photo Bucket.
Oh, yeah.
To like
Yeah.
get it to go on the forum and your build page. So yeah, Picacho would have been my first. So I'd already had my 72 C10. I just didn't, for whatever reason, that was like my daily. And I still have that truck. And then, the motor started having problems. So I started one of those things where the motor starts to come out and then it never really gets put back together. And then I picked up what I call Picacho. And then I did that build on the forum. And then little by little, that truck's actually how I met Sam and Joe Yezi at Good Guys. I was like, okay, I'm going to sell this. And I went to a couple get downs with it. And I'm like, I'm going to sell it. And then here comes these 2 slapdicks trying to just snowball the shit out of me. And so then I'm like, okay. And the banter began. And then, so it's kind of funny. And then that truck, it actually sold at that Good Guys to the guy that has it today. And every now and then my mother-in-law lives in Durango, and we'll go through Farmington. And so I'll hit the guy up. And I'm like, hey, how's the truck? And so I've stopped by to
That's cool.
check it
And
out
he's
a
still
few
rocking
times.
it?
He still rocks it. He's a
Nice.
small town guy. He's got a shop. Him and his in-laws, they're into C10s. I did tell him, hey, if you ever decide to sell it, I would be interested to buy it back. And I mean, I don't really stress it. Like, it's like I've moved on. I got plenty of other builds.
Do you know where Yellowstone is?
Yeah, in Iowa.
Iowa?
I take that back. It was in Iowa. So a guy named Sean bought it. So Richard bought it, then Richard sold it, then Sean bought it in Minnesota. Sean sold it to Rusty Barnfine, which is Chad in Iowa. He sold it to another guy in Iowa. He had it for a long time. And then I forget the guy is a watch guy. He bought it. But then I was like, okay, that's cool that it's over there. But then I think he's just trying to flip it. I don't.
Do you think people buy that and they go, "Oh, this is actually a lot. Like this is a lot of truck.
Yeah.
It's not."
Well, it doesn't have the big camper. The guy Sean put a really nice small camper on it because when I sold it, I still have the camper.
You didn't sell it with the camper?
No, I have the small camper.
Oh,
the half shell or the shell. The big camper, it is a lot. And now people are like, "Oh, do you miss it?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah. Well, like you were saying, it's like a little there.
Well, even if I would have kept it, I had thought. So Big Fish, I said, Big Fish, if this thing doesn't go for 18 or something like that, buy it. And then it didn't happen. But if it would have happened, I would have shortened it and slammed it all the way down.
That would have looked really good.
Yeah. I have a rendering. I'll show you. It looks really cool.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I would have done that, and it would have looked really cool. And people would have been like, oh. So it is funny how you can take a truck, and I mean, you've kind of done this even with your Nissan, but you really could get by with one or two trucks and just change the evolution over time. Because think about even Yellowstone, if you're just die hard on that truck. Okay, you did that. Then you slam it all the way down, right? Then you rock it for a few years, and then people kind of get tired of it. And then you build a 4x4 chassis.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
And then you're just going through, I mean, and you talk about the cycle, it's like, okay, here it was stock. It was this, 3/4 ton. You just mobbed it, then you slammed it with the camper, then you put the half shell, then you shortened it, then you jacked it up, and it's all the same truck.
It keeps it fresh.
And you're always constantly changing that cycle.
In our scene back in like the early 2000s, remember the Toyota? Like one weekend it was bagged and on the ground, and the next weekend it was lifted
on like 40s.
On 40s, it was big.
It was body drop, full graphics, all this stuff. That's how it lived its life for the most part. And then one day it just showed up to Truck Jam.
Yeah, as a lifted like Hawaiian.
40s on it. Yeah,
it was crazy. But yeah, you're right. You just change them up. You haven't had anything that's been like body drop. Like,
no, I don't think.
Are you interested in that or no? Not really.
No,
you're more into just sort of like the
sporty. I mean, like when I see it, like if I could, I think Orange Slice would look so good.
That thing looks sick. Body drop
on the ground, but it's so nice to get in it and not have to stress.
It's true.
It just gets in. I can let it rip. You know what I mean? But yeah, there are times where I've played around with it. I did a Photoshop and I called it Orange Drop, and I slammed it all the way down. And it's
well, the square bodies are essentially when you bag them and lay them frame.
Yeah, they're basically
body drop, and you could actually even just move body mounts in it.
And they look so good when they're skirting across the ground like that.
Like he said, like it's funny with in our world because like in our world a body drop is like the ultimate mod.
Sure.
Like it's almost like when you're building it, if you don't body drop it, it's just like, well, that was a waste of time.
It's almost it is because
it becomes the norm.
Yeah.
Because now you see those guys. There's some guys that are cutting the truck, and the only thing they can do is sit in there. And,
that's like a novelty thing.
Yeah, but there's some guys that's like, how isn't there the Volkswagen guy, and he's barely sitting in there?
With a
it's like cut in half. You know,
that's just doing it for like shock and awe.
That's a novelty thing. But
that's like the guys from what's the farm truck guys with that camper. You guys see that?
Oh, yeah. They took the drag racer guys?
Yeah, but they took a camper shell and put it over a van.
Oh, yeah.
So it looks like a camper is driving.
Yeah. But like with the body drop thing, too, it's like if a Toyota...
That's the example I was going to say.
When it lays frame, there's a lot of gap.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. But when you take a C10 or a square body and you lay it out, like just frame, there's not that much gap.
Yeah.
And so it's just like...
Well, it's like a Tri-5 just because that AD truck, which is your... first series 49 to 54 and then a 55 to 59, they go completely over and around, so you can't even lay frame really because the sides they go so far down, but it looks so good.
When we were talking to Oro, we were talking about all these things, and one thing that I brought up is like in our scene we spent literally years and years and years figuring out how to like body drop these things, and once it's accomplished, it's like, oh my gosh, it's body dropped, the body's laying flat on the ground. And like now, like a lot of these C10 dudes who are getting trucks built, like they're body dropped anyway. You order a chassis, you pick out your cab, you put it together, and it's body dropped. So it's like almost they don't even know really what they have.
They don't even know a body drop.
Yeah, exactly. They're just like, oh, that's just laid out.
You have to take this test before you can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the history of body dropping.
You could go and be like, hey, your truck's body dropped. And they're like, what are you talking about?
It's
just airbagged. And you're like,
For the C10 world, to me, it's more the terminology we would use is more pinch, right? So then guys are laying pinch, or they'll even cut it and say,
Cut the
yeah,
rocker.
we've already
same thing,
cut
laying rocker.
pinch. You know, we're laying rocker, something like that. But yeah, you're right. You can.
Same.
Some guys get rid of pinch and then they're laying rocker.
Yeah,
right?
You
and,
gotta
then
lay
some,
rocker.
and then some. It's like that pendulum thing, swing thing we're talking about. Because
Yeah.
then dudes are like, oh, laying pinch, and then laying rocker. Now there's doored, like cutting the rockers
But
off.
then it
laying
goes
doored.
back to like the what makes sense.
Exactly. So that's what I'm
So-
saying. It goes up.
This doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
This does.
Well,
So it's just
People are trying to get shock and awe. Like Yellowstone doesn't really make sense because
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I got this slam truck camper. It's not that fun to drive after a while. You're like, okay, even my kids are like, oh, I can't believe you sold it. Like, it was so much fun driving around it. And I'm like, it wasn't. Backing up and going forward.
You can't just run down and get ice
felt
cream.
like, what's his face?
Yeah.
Austin Powers. And you're like, dude, just all the time, every speed bump, bagging up, bagging down. And yeah,
So through this whole thing, like the podcast is happening. So you're just like, and your brand is happening,
yeah.
right? So your brand C10 Talk, and then like kind of talk us through that journey. How's that been? Like from obviously from the first one at Dino's until now, things have changed. You know what I mean? And like we're only little over 2 years into this, and like, and we're just like this. It's difficult. It's not easy. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I remember one time you having a discussion with me and telling me about certain guests that some are really good because they talk and you can just blow by an hour and it's great. And some
You got to work.
you're like, yeah, so tell me about your truck. And they're like, oh, it's a 67.
Yeah. You got to
And
work.
you're like, and I go, man, and that always stuck with me is like making sure you were like able to get the information and how to get the information out of the guests.
I kind of turn it into a little bit of a game.
Yeah.
Right. I think for me, the biggest thing that I've always had the ability to do, obviously I can talk to anybody, but my real job is talking to people and extracting information from them.
I see.
You know, when they call 911 and it's a medical situation, it's like, okay, like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. And then I'll be like, dude, like I told this to a patient the other day. I'm all, you are a poor historian of your medical. I'm like, you are not giving me any information. So you called us. Now tell me what we can do for you. You know what I
Right.
mean? So what meds? What this? What's this? And a lot of times I don't even say what's your medical history. I say, what meds do you take? Because meds will tell you.
Tell you, yeah.
Because they'll be like, no, I don't have any medical history. I'm like, all right. Do you take any meds? And they'll go through losartan. Okay, so you have high blood pressure. Oh, I take metformin. Oh, so you have diabetes. Well, no, I don't have that because I take the med. Well, you do. And so you're either extracting information from them or their family member or somebody on the hotline. And so that's how I kind of look at it. You know, some people really want to know questions in front, right? I always laugh, and so I'll send them some generic questions. But I like the spontaneity of it as well.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's more fun
Yeah.
that way. We haven't had that. No one's ever asked us like, "What are you gonna ask me?" I think, no, actually, no.
No.
I think that's probably the number one thing that if in 10 years of doing it, people used to be so worried. Is it going to be on video? What are you going to ask me? Am I going to look dumb? And I'm like, and I always said, listen, I'm going to edit the whole thing and I'm going to make you sound as good as I can make you sound because I want other people to come on and I don't want them to be like, you know, that I would say the biggest frustration that I have is I spend way too much of my time editing. That if I could just
Are you
not
taking?
care.
Are you taking? Like,
Oh my
are
God,
you just?
yeah.
Do you think that? I mean, it's important because I do that with some video work that I do, but in this space, in the podcast world, is it just you that cares about that more than the actual listener?
both, but yes.
Yeah.
So I think now that there's so much content, back 10 years ago there wasn't. So I wanted everybody to sound like $1,000,000, and now I've tried to care a lot less. But there's sometimes you just can't. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I do not want that guest or friend or guest friend or whatever. I want to clean them up as much as possible.
Yeah.
I have had pods where I've said, time out, stop. Dude,
Really?
stop freaking saying this.
Oh, really?
Like, you're making my job, you sound dumb, and you're going to make my job so much.
What is it? What is it?
But it was counterproductive because then that specific time that I'm thinking of, that person just kept thinking about it, and so the pod wasn't even really that great.
So you've already kind of like rattled their.
Yeah.
What was it that was?
Oh, just or you knows or whatever. Like
I see.
and you're almost like, and for me, I think 50% of the people won't even care, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there listening.
Yeah,
and
no,
I'm
I
like,
get it.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't even hear anything else but the ums and you know.
Yeah, so you're not listening to the
I think that
conversation.
one was you knows. Like, you know.
Was it Brian
you know,
Val?
No. Does he say a lot of
Yeah, Brian Val's, he's good at that. And then I just remember the thing that you told me about getting conversation out of people that weren't super good at it, or not that good at it, just whatever, but was Ricky Holly.
Oh, yeah, he's tough.
He's tough.
yeah, that
he
was
was
tough.
I was listening to that and I go, ooh, Ronnie's got his work cut out for
Yeah,
him here.
he's tough. He does not like to talk. The other thing too is obviously when you're a talker, I try not to talk too much.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then we branched out, so we have other pods, and I literally am coaching these other guys that are
I was
running
gonna ask,
these other
like,
pods.
when did that start? And like,
Well, that's going to go away. So those.
Well, you're suddenly scaling back.
Yeah, so we scaled out, and now those guys will be taking over those pods as of 2025.
As like independent people.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm giving them to them. I just have a deal worked out I picked 3 guys that are the main guys, and I said, okay, I'm done. You guys can, they're done as of like January 2025 or December 2024. Some of those are done because I don't want to deal with it anymore. I don't want to manage it. I don't want to, and the number one reason is time to build, because when you're managing 5 to 6 pods and the people, you have no time. And the number one thing that will get you is editing, but for them is posting. And I'm like, you guys have to post. If you don't post and you don't, keep posting continuously, then your pod's going to die. And
Like
so,
posting episodes, like keeping up, putting
social
out
media,
the content.
social media,
or just
social
not
media.
even episodes, right? Just like,
Yeah, just post so you can so that you build the channel and the channel will get more followers, because when you post, it's no different. If Grindr posts something that says, hey, I got a shirt sale, you'll sell 5 shirts, right?
Yeah.
You just have to post, and people just don't post, and these guys are spoon fed. So that's been part of the thing. And where I was going with that is some of those guys, they were chosen because they can talk. But you have to remind people, including myself, is people are tuning in to hear your guest. They're not tuning in to hear you. Over time, I kind of look at it like Bob Barker, right? Over time, you tune in to see Bob Barker, right? But you tuned in, obviously we tuned in to see Vanna White, not Patrick, whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah.
But you will gain or get that where people like you as a host. But remember, they're tuning in to hear your guest.
Yeah.
Right. So don't overdo it, right? Because when you get somebody like Ricky, you're like, okay, I got to carry this guy, but I don't want to overtake the interview.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the guys, for example, I'm always telling him he will answer the question before he asks the question. And he's leading the guest so much. And I get why he's doing it. But I'm like, dude, you got to just let them talk. And then one of the guys, he will just overtalk everybody. And then, have you ever heard of what stan? Shit, that ain't nothing. So
don't know.
yeah, so the term stan,
Oh.
S-T-A-N.
Oh, I see what
Shit,
you're
that
saying.
ain't nothing.
Shit, that ain't
He's an
nothing. Okay.
one upper. It's like,
Oh.
I've had guys where it's like, you're like, hey, tell me about your 94 body drop Toyota. And then the guest will completely go into this whole thing, and then the guy will be like, "Yeah, well, I have this." But you're like,
Oh, yeah. No,
I'm
you
like,
can't do that.
you cannot do that. And
Yeah.
then it's like a double story every time, because that person, so you have to kind of find
The
that fine line.
Right,
And
right.
the other way I look at it is the evening news, where the evening news, the guy's like, "Hey, Frank, you're out there on 64th Street. Tell us about what you got. You got a big accident, blah, blah, blah." Well, they don't sit there and go back and forth. They move it. They go to the next question. And I'm like, you only have these guys for an hour. So don't waste your time. If you're just sitting there, and I like that you're shooting the shit, but get to it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the things that I look at.
that balance is rough.
Yeah.
Especially so when we started this, it wasn't that we weren't trying to create this business out of it or create this thing. It was just like, man, we go on these road trips and we talk. I wonder if people always ask us questions on our YouTube channel. We're like, let's just talk and see if people will listen.
And they do.
And they do.
And you guys at the beginning, obviously I've watched a ton of the drop. It is funny, Frank's on my left, Brian's on my right, and you guys are kind of going back and forth. But then when you start adding guests in, it makes it easy. So even if it was like, say, Sam and I, and we've talked about this, or Stickle and I, because we have great rapport, good camaraderie, and you guys have that. So as long as you have that, that makes it easier.
Yeah.
But when it's just me and another
Yeah,
guest,
that's true,
and I'm
yeah.
kind of
It's
like,
hard,
dude,
man.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to get it.
Yeah.
If I had a third wheel, or
It
like, if I
definitely
had
helps out having
my-
this scenario,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like we're all kind of just
Yeah, and that's
you
what
know.
I'm saying is like, there's some people built for it. Like I feel like this is like, that's your thing. Like
Yeah.
you are the podcast guy. It's like your voice and just the way you do it. And I've never been that. I've done public speaking when I was president of the SoCal Mini Truck Council and stuff, and it was really weird. But lately, it's been like a little over 2 years again. We got into this little lull.
Oh yeah.
And it was funny because no one's really said anything, except then Oro called me.
You're saying oral.
And he goes, yeah, I'm going to say it. Yeah.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, man, that last episode, it sucked.
Yeah. Well, he'll call me. And say the same. Yeah. And I've had some lulls and I've had some gaps.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where at first I was like, ugh, and then a few other people, and then we talked about it on the next thing. We like confronted each other.
Yeah.
And put it out in the open, and then more people afterwards were like, hey, man, I'm really glad like you said that because I felt it.
Good.
Yeah, and I was like,
it was a little hard at first, but working through it. We've actually spent these last 3 or 4 guest episodes working through it, and now people have been listening. This is like their 4th one or whatever, or they've listened to 4, and they're like, "Yeah, man, we get it.
Yeah, you guys suck.
You're fine. Just keep going."
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal, but it was just one of those things. Like,
but that's life, and it's you can't not have that in there. I mean, life is life.
Yeah, because just the conversations we've had where you always go back and forth. You're like, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll do this. And then you're like, all of a sudden I'll see you like starting another business, starting another podcast. I'm like, what is Ronnie doing?
I know. I'm all over. And that's the thing about the fire department is because the fire department, you have a lot of free time and you're constantly moving and constantly shaking. There's always different ideas. Yeah. And I have a kind of a saying, life's easy. I just make it hard.
No, but hey, that's a good one. I like that.
And my wife is married to it because the brain is moving and the ideas are there. And then there's always not enough time, right? So it becomes a balance.
Right.
I know a little bit about the dynamic between you two. She's a very creative person.
Very creative introvert, where I'm outrovert, and she's a good yin to the yang on the sense that, like, it pops into my brain, and I can go like, "Hey, I want to see this, want to see this, want to see this." But she's taking a step back too from that because it would be like it's time. You only have so much time.
But are you the type do you go in the house and you're just like give her like punch ideas like boom 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 and like she's your
sounding
board?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say Sam is more of my sounding board for me because she has so much going on. And there was a time where she was just C10 and family and stuff, and now she's branched off into doing a lot of her other stuff. I think she even hit you up about something. So she's kind of, but I always told her, like, as you get closer to 50, I don't want you to, this has afforded our family a lot of freedom. And, I always tell her, I'm like, you never had to call out to go see your sister out of state or do whatever, right? Go to a parent meeting. But now you need to move on because I don't want, as you get through your life, I don't want you to resent, like, I want to go get another job. I'm going to go do that, go do that. So on one hand, I'm like, I need you over here. And on the other hand, I'm pushing over here. It's like I want you here because I need this help. But I really, the big picture is go. And so she's been doing that, and it's a better thing. And it almost makes me slow down when you don't have a constant sounding board with all these great ideas. Sam and I have a thing called the 48-hour test.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, this is the greatest idea. And call each other back and forth. Like the reunion, for example. Okay, this is a great idea. Okay, 24 hours. Hey, is that still a great idea? It's still, and then at 48 hours, you're like, dude,
that was a bad idea.
A dumb idea. That is so much work.
It's one of those things where you should do that with any big purchases, right? Whether it's a car or anything like that.
Anything, because it sounds so good, and then you're like, dude, it's going to be so much time. And kind of going back to Autumn, my wife, for the audience, she is probably 70% of the reunion, right? All of the things that are happening behind the scenes. Yeah. She's on that, right? Cool. And makes Sam and I look great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I come up with all the crazy ideas. I throw them out. These guys kind of say yay or nay. And then really Autumn spreadsheets and this is who we need to call and traffic and this and this and and so yeah, it does make our life a little easier. And we're trying to take some of that off of her now that the roadmap is already set.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, Sam, you need to do these 3 things, get security, do this, I'll take care of the hotels. And then you kind of get to where it's a little easier to manage.
Yeah.
First few years are a lot harder.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So going into the reunion.
Depending on how much you want to grow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, do you want to grow or are you like cool at this level?
I'm cool at this level.
Yeah.
Yeah. People really like the level that we're at.
Yeah.
And the venue, it can't handle much more. So we went from 350 to 500.
We're now talking about the reunion car show.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was talking about just
Oh.
life in general, like
Oh.
because we're always constantly. Like, it's like profit margins, right? Like, you want to keep making more money, or are you happy at like this level of thing? But and it's like,
Yeah, for my life, no. Definitely some changes will be happening. But for the reunion, yes.
so the reunion. So you started this car show, truck show,
Yeah.
and how did that come about? Because the parking structure is unique.
Yeah.
Did you?
I just felt like there should be another car show, truck show
In
in
Arizona.
the spring. Obviously, we've got the Granddaddy with Dino's, and there's been. I remember Seth and I talking about it, years ago, and running everything by you. Brian's a huge sounding board. Like, hey, what do you think? Almost too positive though. Like, you're almost, but I know that. So there's another guy at work that I run everything by too, but you put an asterisk by it in a good way. Like, Brian's if Brian's telling you bad, then that's
That's
because he's
true.
such a positive guy.
That's true, yeah.
But always thought there should be something, and then it's become a kind of crazy with the truck shows and the C10s, and and you're like, dude, like, I'm like, we have to lock down like some real estate in the calendar, because if we don't, somebody else will.
Oh yeah, those coming.
and then it's been crazy, right?
Yeah.
So
look at what Classic Truck is going through.
Yeah.
Lonnie and those guys. They're like, we want to get it out of this heat.
Yeah, they said like they're moving into later in the year.
They don't know.
Oh, they don't know yet.
No,
Yeah.
because there's too much,
Yeah,
and
it's
people
full.
are already. It's like us, right? Like, we're going to mini nets. We're going like the shows that Dino. Like, I'm going to Dino's. I'm going to mini nets. Like,
well, and we even kind of cross streams this year because the way the city was frustrating, and even for 2025, we talked. I'm like, okay, when's your date?
Yeah.
Because I don't want Brian not to be there, and like, okay, but yeah, so there's just so many days, and somebody hit me up and they're like, hey, are you going to this show? And in September of this year, you've got Oral's Intervention the first week. The second week is the Triple Crown of Rotting in Nashville. The third weekend is Pomona's the Grand National Truck Show. And the fourth week is C10's in the Trailer Park in Waxahachie. Wow. So 4 weekends in a row, and it was one of those shows was like hitting me up, and I'm like, you have to understand, that's a lot of money and time, right? And so I don't know that I need to go to all 4 of those shows.
how do you run through that in your head? Like, do you just do what you want type thing? Like, but then you have like, do you feel bad when you don't go to this?
Oh no, you want I'll give you the hardest truth possible.
Oh, yeah.
If it's a for-profit show, cool. Like, it doesn't hurt my feelings, right?
Yeah.
C10 shows come first and foremost. So an Oro show, C10's in the trailer park, those come first. That's my people. So those are going to be my people. Now, other people have said, dude, this is crazy. We see these shows, we see these trucks, we see this community. We need to get in on this, right?
Oh, I see.
So I'm like, I will support you. I will give you radio time. I'll do whatever. Yeah. But I'm not going to like die trying to get to your show.
Yeah. Right.
So those other shows, they come first, right? Yeah. So we're getting ready to go to Slowdown. Yeah. I probably won't go to the Intervention, but I already got everything booked for Waxahachie because that's probably my favorite show.
Yeah, going back to that one this year.
Yeah, and I modeled the reunion a lot like that because I love that show.
Yeah.
And I love the reunion, even though it's stressful. I still love it. It's so much fun. I'm glad when it's over.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of fun, and I love the themes that we're able to do with that and kind of give it that theme.
Yeah, Ben was talking about that. He was just saying just how fun it is.
Yeah.
And how the people actually like. There's no other event that I've been to where people dress up like that.
Yeah.
And kind of just like it's like a one big thing.
Yeah. Well, and going back to what we talked about, even like with kids and things going back to that 12 to 25 time, it takes you back to a simpler time. So that is where our approach is, you know, when we're sitting there and what happened was we were walking home, my wife and I were walking home from that downtown area, and we literally parked like in the fire department area because we have our headquarters or something, and it can get kind of crazy parking down there. And we walked right by the parking garage, and Autumn goes, what about a parking garage? And I'm like, dude, that would be awesome. Cool. And we walked by the south one, not the north one. Yeah. And so then I'm like, we'll do the north one. And it is a pain. The city's a pain. The parking garage is a pain. But at the end of the day, I think we can probably do 750, which is just, max capacity, but that's it. And I've watched Terry with C10s in the park, and he kind of does like 1,100, 1,000 to 1,100.
Sells out in
12 minutes, if that, 10 minutes. And yeah, that's it. And you know, Dino and I've talked about it. Obviously, Oral is like, it's my favorite show. I love it. And we get a lot of people like, hey, I love that it's more intimate. And even Dino's like, dude, like his show is so big and it's multiple days. It'll be interesting to see what the slowdown is this time, because it's a 2-day show. Yep. So how that changes.
Kind of like Friday's like light. Like it feels like it's like the light day. They just did it to get some people in there to leave.
And the vendors.
Yeah.
So, but I even with the reunion, and I'm not trying to turn this all into the reunion, but the pre-show is so much fun. I actually think the pre-party on Friday night, and it is funny because a lot of people have said this, and it's one thing to think it in your brain and not really say it, and then when other people say it to you, then you're like, wow. And a lot of people are like, dude, your Friday night is exactly like the Get Down was at the old shop, because it was the Friday night before the Good Guys show, and now it's the Friday pre-party, and it's so fun to experience that. So
you have no plans. That your plans is to keep that going for.
Well, we talked about it just being our senior year this year and be our 4th year, and then we'll decide. Kind of fun.
See if you go into the
college.
Saved by the Bell college year.
Yeah, see if we're going to go to community college or if we're going to go to a 4-year college.
Start with community, do 2 years, and then 2 years at a 4 year.
Yeah, we'll probably get 5 years.
Yeah.
Probably get 5 years.
Do your master's,
your
PhD.
Do our doctorate. Do what do they call it?
And then you're ready for real reunion.
Yeah, real reunion.
10-year reunion.
Yeah, then a 10-year reunion to the first reunion.
It's the
rerun.
The rerun.
We're on syndication now.
What made you decide that it wasn't going to be like a Chevy truck show? That it was going to be for everything?
100% high school parking lot. There's nothing better than your buddies and you're all hanging out, and some guy's got a Chevy Citation and some guy's got a little Toyota. And again, back to the variety. I don't think that, there's times where you catch flack for that because guys are like, I didn't get in and that guy got in. It's like, you're not special. Like, you're not special. Don't think that just because I always say, like, ruined it for everybody because it's free and it's unlimited, right? So everybody gets in and it's free. And then we're in the shadow of the world's biggest free Chevy truck show, right? But it's a theme. It's totally different. So, it is funny to think that we tell people and we're like, there's times where I'm like, we are like 25 tickets from being sold out. So you need to, and I can't just give you a ticket. We can't fit anymore. And people just cannot fathom that. They cannot understand, like, why do you not allow more people? I don't have the room. And I would never take and give somebody who pays a spot and then you just get in. And it is hard to manage it all.
It is, and people feel special, a lot more special than they are. And they'll try to pull that. Or pull rank or however it is. It's
in the club scenario, like in your scenario, it's actually just like, well, why don't you let more in? Because I don't want to. Which is kind of like a nice thing to be able to do, you know.
Yeah, we're in a
little
bit of a
I've actually haven't been to the reunion yet. I missed because this will be the 3rd one next year, right?
Fourth.
Okay. Man, whoops.
Yeah.
Well, last year was our show was the same.
Yeah, totally brutal.
I got it.
So yeah,
we're actually, to be honest with you, and this is my ignorance, I was like, oh no, I mean, it's a Chevy show, like, And
then you see pictures of Panda.
And I'm like, I don't know what year it was, but the shots that Milan got on the little year, those shots, I was like. And that's when I knew I wanted to go, but then...
and I like the club thing. I like giving certain people certain spots. I told the Sunset guys we're going to put them up front in the stage. And I love giving clubs a little bit of a sliver of ownership in it. Like, how do you want to have your spot? You have this spot because you're doing work. You're giving back to those clubs. And they're bringing their people.
They're bringing good people, fun people you don't have to worry about. And, make them feel a little bit special. Because... they're choosing to bring all their guys.
But I agree. But I also think, hey, leave your club area. Don't, like, I always think it's so funny. Like, you just drove all the way here to hang out with the same slapdicks you just freaking hang out with all the time. Like I'm going to make you go hang out with that guy. But I like the variety. Obviously, the Sunset guys have cool stuff. El Presidentes, the C10 Club. There's a lot of variety. The way we do the cul-de-sac, we do the lifted, we call it 4-wheel drive, and then we do dually drive.
the dually,
so
yeah.
that gives some stuff. I would like to put the minis, but now that Sunset kind of has their own little areas, I've been putting the minis out on that one road that's Arizona Drive. It's kind of Arizona Place, but I've been putting the minis up there.
The minis are different too because they're all in different clubs.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like they'll be spread out a little. Like you couldn't be like, hey, all the minis are coming here because the mini trucks. Some of them are full size.
I always ask,
yeah,
where
the
do you want to
miniature
be?
clubs.
Do you want to be by your club or do you want to be in the spot? I always let them, especially the dually or the 4-wheel drive. The one thing that's hard that I should get away from, I don't know that I ever will, but me on a golf cart trying to pick the top 55 immediately. So I already know like 10 guys that are going to be up there, right? Because I know they're coming to the show. Hey, you're up here. You got that spot. Like, for example, Switch with the Dixon truck. You're going to be up in that corner. And there's probably 10. But then I have to, on a golf cart, be going up and down and picking.
Quickly so you can
Well,
get
and the other thing, too, is I only have so many. I have like one year I had Nintendo cassettes. This year I had the Blockbuster videos. And so you'll see a truck that's right on the cusp. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what's behind them.
Yeah.
So I try to go one time and get back and get them before they get in the garage or wherever they're going to be and be like, hey, you're going to the top deck. And then they'll be like, but my buddy, what about my buddy? And one time I said,
Well, and especially in
your buddy's
our,
not very.
no, I go, tell your buddy he gets a nicer truck.
Ah,
I go, you get a pick. You get a pick. Do you want the thing or you do not want
We
it?
go through that
Yeah.
because at our show we put the grass area is full paint only. So if you have a primer spot or primer, then you're in the asphalt area. And some clubs they're like, well, I want to park with my club. I'm like, well, that's fine.
Yeah, paint your truck.
Or
just-
or take the painted ones and you go park on the asphalt with them. And there's a couple clubs that always are on the asphalt because they only want to park with their club. They don't want to split them.
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting in our world. Clubs play like a really heavy part.
Oh, sure, yeah.
We've
our
talked
whole
about
scene.
that.
Oh, yeah. Clubs are tough, man.
Yeah,
You
because
know-
you take the C10 club
Yeah.
and it's no rules,
No rules, no dues. No dues, no rules.
Yeah, no drama. But
Yeah. But there's drama.
Yeah, it's
when you
the
have a
same.
group of dudes,
Yeah.
we always talk crap about the women.
Yeah.
yeah.
No.
Yeah, there's
No,
there's
we're-
definitely people who think that they're, and you're just like, hey. One thing I learned from the first show to the second show is I told some guys, don't be bigger than the show or don't try to be bigger than the show.
that's-
Just accept the show. And Sam and I have beat this down. It's really easy. Here's the deal. We're going to give you a venue. We're going to give you a place to be and a few little things, and you do you. Like, be respectful, but you don't have to do much more. You don't have to come up with a 3-tent circus for people. Truck guys are going to do truck things. You give them a couple food vendors, a couple T-shirts, some music, and let them do their thing, right?
yeah.
And that's really all you have to do. But then we get guys like, oh, can we have a band? I'm all, no, we have a DJ. I don't want to hear,
Yeah.
the Maharaji band over here and the freaking DJ pumping old 80s hits.
Yeah.
Like, no,
We've
you will
been
not.
to shows like that where it gets wild.
Oh, yeah.
Summer Madness.
And they just want to take
LST
over.
Just passed
Oh, yeah,
us
LST.
with the
Yeah,
ground level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
LST
those guys get crazy, dude.
But LST can do that because it's so big.
It is big, yeah.
Yeah,
And that's
so-
actually cool. I like that they do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And Jose Pena from Drops R Us, he, I go to his tent. He's going to have shrimp and food and lamb. And it's like, you're coming in, like, you don't have a choice. You're hanging,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
eating,
I've been
and you're going to have a
sucked
good
into that,
time.
too.
And you're like, dude, this is awesome.
yeah, it's
But
cool.
but it's like, dude, don't just be part of the show.
That's
like,
how
be
our,
part
ours
of the
is
show.
because we only have so much space.
Yeah.
So I'm
Same.
like,
Yeah.
Same thing. I'm just like, just enjoy the venue. They're like, can we bring golf carts? I'm like, yeah, but they're staying in the parking lot. They're like, well, can we drive in and out? Can we cruise?
Yeah.
I'm all, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're parked. You're parked.
But see, there's where cruise. You got the golf carts. I'm riding my bike, skateboards,
yeah.
and
But again,
it's a-
he's got a stadium.
Yeah.
well, no, and it's free for all. So then
Yeah.
you gotta like listen. I tell people like, what do you want? Okay, that's that show. We're different.
Yeah.
So
because
don't.
those same people that go to that show, they're like, man, it's so big, you kind of get lost. I wish
Yeah.
it was a little smaller. And then they go to the smaller one, and they're like, hey,
Yeah,
can I
do
a
this?
burnout?
Yeah.
Can't do a burnout.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do know who you are.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Good times.
Yeah. Do you want to hit some questions?
Yeah, I heard
Yeah,
him quick
let
because
me-
I actually got a hard out.
Oh,
What's your
okay.
heart
Like
out?
10 minutes.
Oh, okay, we're good.
Okay, well, that's good because I got bad news for you. I don't think we have any questions.
Oh, you don't need them.
we
Just
had
fire
a
away.
couple, from earlier. I screen capped him. You want me to?
Yeah, you go ahead.
And then Fletcher, he had a
Hey,
question.
I can make up questions.
I know. We can make up questions too.
Yeah.
We don't have to show you. We can
Oh,
just be
yeah,
like, this guy says, so why
Yeah.
is Ronnie such a dick?
Yeah, I'll tell you why.
I'll tell
Tell you why.
Let me tell you.
I hang out with Brian, and he's so nice. He makes me look mean.
One time, I do have to say, one time we almost got arrested at the Las Vegas airport. Or we almost caused some
we
real
did.
chaos at the Las
And
Vegas
then you sent me
You
that
guys?
thing lately.
So
That was so
we
funny.
went on a road trip. He hadn't slept at all.
Yeah,
so he
so-
shows up to my house in El Mirage. Hadn't slept all day, all
and
night.
I was 12 to 13 hours behind.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah,
Orange
we had to-
Slice's debut at the second intervention, I think.
Yeah, and we had to get up to Bonneville Salt Flat. We had to get to Vegas to pick his buddy up at the airport.
Yeah.
And then
Remember
we
what
had to
happened
get-
though?
Yeah,
Is
he was going to fly to Salt Lake. Then he flew to
Yeah.
Vegas.
Yeah.
And then we had to get to Salt Lake to do a photo shoot in the morning. So we get to not
Oh
Salt
my
Lake,
God.
to
I
Bonneville
forgot all
Salt
about
Flat.
that trip. I mean, I didn't, but that trip is another epic trip.
That Bonneville, we get to Bonneville at like 4 in the morning. We have to wake up in an hour to get there.
because you did that feature.
We did
Yeah,
the
and we
Oh,
paid
okay.
we paid to sleep for an hour and a half.
Yeah. And then we get out. We've never been to the Salt.
No.
We don't know the rules.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, it's a big
It's
field.
it's a giant open.
Well,
thing.
there's rules.
Oh, really?
He got in
Oh.
trouble.
Oh,
Really?
not only there are rules, we got there and this just the way divine intervention is they're doing like a race. So now we're in line and I don't mind being in line. What I mind is that the sun is starting to like
Yeah, we
crack.
need-
Oh,
and I'm
yeah,
just
you're
like,
yeah.
oh my God. Like, and I don't know how it happened, man. They got a bunch of people through. We completely lied. I'm like, they're like, well, what race team are you? And I'm like, I'm like,
That's what
oh
we're
yeah. I'm
racing.
like, oh yeah, I got my truck right there. And then I even was like, finally, then the wife told the husband, she goes, John, just let him through, because he's trying to grill me down. Finally, I go, we'll just turn around. Well, then I'm like, whoa. We go out and essentially on the salt flat, and I get it, right? They're racing. So on the right-hand side, there's these, these dudes are freaking going 200 miles an hour. So I tell these guys, I got Greg and Grinder, and I'm like, drop the truck, drop the gate. Let's get this truck out now. So we get it out. Snap, 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 snap. Perfect. It worked out perfect, right? Obviously, the pictures are just easily one of my favorites of all time. Well, then I'm like, well, now I got this whole salt flat thing. So
Like, let's get down.
oh, so I'm like, whoop, whoop, whoop. And the one thing I will tell the audience, and somebody told me this after, oil or baby oil the whole undercarriage of your vehicle
Oh, 'cause
because
it
the
gets-
salt will just stick.
Oh,
so
and you did not do that.
no, now you're trying to there. I could still find some salt in there.
Wow.
Thank God we live in Arizona.
Yeah.
But yeah, it will ruin the bottom of your vehicle
Wow.
because it's just salty and it just
Yeah,
sticks.
yeah.
So, but yes, I was doing a bunch of stuff. Brian's probably got all the video.
Yep.
This freaking dude's like, I remember it's like a Ford truck. He's like, whoop, whoop, whoop. What the hell are you doing? You can't be doing that. This is a race course. And I get it. You're making little ruts in the salt, and but that's not where they're racing. But still, it is a national park.
They were kind of gatekeeping a little bit.
Oh yeah, and he was a little much, but at the same time, we're breaking the law, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. But then I think
Unknowingly.
another guy came over.
Yeah.
After the guy in the truck, another guy came
was
over.
real cool.
He was cool, and I just said, "Hey, this is the deal.
We're stupid. We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, we're stupid first time. We'll load up the truck and leave. Load up the truck and got the hell out of there."
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's
it was fun. And then.
And then we bombed.
But no, before that, we went to the airport, and was
Oh.
I driving and you said it? Because you scared the shit out of me. But
No, I was driving.
Okay. And we go to pick up Greg at the airport. Well, we had the trailer. So
Tall enclosed trailer.
tall enclosed trailer with the truck in the back. This is pre-salt flats. And all of a sudden, I thought it was you said it to me, but maybe I said it to
Maybe
you.
I forgot.
But there's a white pole. Oh, it was the alarm.
It was the alarm. It started.
Oh, it started going
and
off
I'm
'cause you're
looking
gonna
up and
hit
there's
it.
a stop sign flashing. Boom, 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 and this alarm. And I'm going, what?
And
And we just at the last minute, like,
Oh,
cranked
yeah.
the wheel, and we would have hit.
Just barely missed.
Yeah, we
Oh,
would have hit
shit.
that whole thing. And
Wow.
And then on TikTok the other night, I was like scrolling,
he sends me
and
a
I
signal.
found this dude did it.
Oh, really?
Like,
Oh,
rammed it.
I did see that with,
And I
with
sent
an
it to
RV.
him. I was like, this could have been us.
yeah, I have seen
We
that with
would've
an
died.
RV, right? Yeah.
Just took it out. And then
Tuna
we got yelled
canned
at
it.
because we went in the taxi line.
Yeah.
And then we bombed after intervention, we bombed all the way down to AccuAir. And then we had dinner there.
Well, that was a funny story too because you did that video,
Yep.
and then forever we had it all planned out. We go to AccuAir, their brand new facility, such a good time, and we never did. We should post that video now.
That's up to you. That's your
Yeah,
fault.
that's
It's your video.
statute of limitations. Yeah, Reno was like, Reno
would like to see this
Reno
video. I
said,
haven't seen it.
Reno said post it. Then he said don't post it, and
Oh,
I was.
Reno has nothing to do with AccuAir anymore.
Well, no, I know, but I was like, I still like Reno, and I'm like, I don't want to piss him off. And I told Grinder, and I'm like, oh, we should have posted it. Like the second he said post it,
Yeah, we waited, and then that all
then
that
everything
happened,
went to
and
shit.
then- yeah.
And then COVID happened, and everything, the
We
whole
bombed
world
down
changed.
after filming at AccuAir, we bombed down to Oro's house. Mm-hmm. You rode with Oro, and I drove your truck, the trailer, get all the way down to Long Beach, and then we slept on those little pads.
Yeah, his wife it was like an empty room with a hardwood floor, and there's these little pads. It was like
It's like we were 10
Karate
years old.
Kid. It was like Karate Kid.
Like a sleepover.
Yeah. I would say, and you've experienced this, and I've been lucky enough to experience this, but if you can, anytime you can take a road trip with Brian, it's a good time.
Yeah.
Because even if adventures like crazy shit doesn't happen, just that Brian, who is, I don't think you're really an introvert, but you're not an extrovert. You're in between. But when you get Brian on a 1-on-1 or 2-on-1 type scenario, you're going to get a lot more of that deeper level that you're not going to get with most people. So going on a road trip with Brian, it is therapeutic as well, you know, because he's a really good listener. You know? Yeah. And then every now and then you'll get something out of Brian. You're like, wow, that's not like you to say that. You're like, hold on, let me turn my phone on. That Jeremy a Trey 5, he freaking fucking Jeremy. Just messing.
Yeah.
Calm down. He don't listen to this.
Yeah. Even if he does, it's like, calm down.
Yeah. Well, he might, but he won't say he does.
Oh,
type
yeah.
Of thing.
Yeah, he'll text us. What were we talking about?
Yeah, he'd be like, hey, I was listening to your podcast for the first time. Just getting through it.
Because Brian made me do it.
Yeah. We do have just Scott, I don't have his full name, from Australia. Does he need any more Vegemite?
Oh my God! So yeah, that was the first get down at the new venue, which I know it's kind of moved, but more Westgate, whereas now it's at Cardinal Stadium. Yep. But this was the first time from it left. It went to Big Surf, and then it went to Westgate. I think it was at Westgate 2 years. Yep. But the guys from Australia came up, and we partied out in that hotel. Which, by the way, is that some of the best times in your whole life?
So that's what he was kind of saying. He was kind of saying, do you think Dino's has lost a little bit of its privacy? And we already hit on that with the reunion. You know what I mean? Saying that Friday night thing. And that's what happens to big shows. Is
they get bigger, and you get all these little sects and little groups.
Yeah, well, it's just, and there's never, we always talk about this too. There's never that, you had the best time. You're never going to relive that.
Yeah.
You will try and try and try, but you'll always talk about the best time.
Yeah. It is hard, and you just try, and give that. That's why those little. It's funny. Somebody, who just posted it. Somebody who's has a huge following said, was it? It might have been Boris, but he said, "I go to truck shows not for the trucks, and it's the people, and obviously I say the trucks are cool, the people are cooler, but those pre-parties and those post-parties and that hotel parking lot,
that's what got you. That's if you go to one of those for the first time. Like I always say, when you go to river runs. When I used to go to the river runs at Parker, and I was like, okay, now I'm doing this.
Yeah,
I'm going to buy.
You're
a truck.
hooked.
I'm done.
Yeah. You just have to do that, and that's what I tell people. Whether it's the get down, whether it's the reunion, it doesn't matter. Just fly in and experience that culture and those people, and you'll have a really good time. And then you'll know if it's a good fit.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Those guys, we had such a good time. And he was drinking beer out of a shoe, and
Oh,
we were
Chewy.
we were
Yeah.
eating Vegemite, and I ate the Vegemite. And it was like
And then they'll
it was
tell
like
you-
a salt lick.
Then they'll tell you, "Oh no, you got to put it on bread with
Oh,
butter."
yeah,
And
yeah.
then you do that, and you're like, "No, this is still disgusting."
No, it's
And then they'll
horrible.
tell you, "Oh, you did it wrong."
Yeah.
No. Just why are you eating?
Yeah,
it?
this
Horrible,
does sound
horrible. But I'll never forget it. You know what I mean? And so that time, and some of those parking lot parties are just absolutely. I went to a battle in Bama, and I was like, wow.
Oh, yeah,
that was a
good
parking
one.
lot party. Because they have those 3 hotels or whatever, and you're back in there, and I'm
Everybody's
like,
just
do
chilling
they
and
even
hanging.
realize who needs a show like this? Is and guys are all their trucks and parked in, and just everybody's drinking beer, and nobody cares. Like nobody's being a dick, and nobody's breaking the law, but everybody's having a great time.
Yeah,
And so that's really what you're chasing is that high school parking lot. That whether it's at the school or you all get together at the bonfire.
And that's what you're saying about your shows.
That's what you're
getting
just
that
chasing.
vibe.
You're just trying to get that vibe and that time where you're having such a great time.
Yeah.
And it's hard when you're in a bigger city setting to find places that let you do that.
Yeah.
Or hotels that are cool with that.
Yeah.
That's why I remember going back east all the time. Like it was a little more lax. Down south, a little more lax. Not just you're in a smaller city or whatever. So how yours is, you get permission from that bar, right? So it feels like that.
Yep.
Like everyone hangs out at that bar.
Yeah, that bar, I think it's probably one of their top 3 nights, and that was a fluke just to end up getting that deal.
Yeah.
But you're right. If I would love, we have what's called Country Thunder here, and I haven't been in years, but it's way out far, right? You have to go. But I think that would be a lot of fun. Like when you think about
Like
like
a
those,
rave, like
yeah.
Woodstock?
When you think about
Or
that,
like
where
a run.
yeah,
Truck run.
It's
Yeah.
a
yeah,
truck
yeah,
run.
where you're going out and you're gonna stay there, and you're gonna whether you're tenting or maybe if there was a hotel that wasn't too far,
Yeah.
but like you're
Like camp and drag.
yeah,
truck
camp and
run.
drag, yeah,
Well,
truck
but
run.
the problem with truck runs is they were in a place that wasn't populated, and then it got nice, and then
that's true,
once things get nice and money gets involved, and then they bring
Yeah.
regular people in there, then we're just no ones. We're
Well, that's
nobody.
why when you're young and you think about like the even mini truck, or I feel so many people come from the S10s or the Volkswagens or the Minis, and you look at that, you're like, you didn't really have money, you had more time and you had fun because you went to those places where it was cheap and you could do it, and then money gets involved, and then you've seen where some of the different people that might maybe when they were young they didn't have money and now they've got careers and they make a lot of money and then they've got all this stuff and people change,
Yeah,
you know,
for
and
sure.
that's why you're like, I'm kind of always chasing that simpler time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Less is more, like you said.
Fletcher had a question, but we kind of went through it already.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
yeah.
Well, thanks for sitting with us, man. This was
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
It was really cool.
Mikasa, Sukasa.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. So,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to go inside and make a sandwich. No, I was kidding.
Yeah, help yourself. Help yourself.
Frank,
I got more liquid death. I got more Diet Coke. I got
If
some
there's any
beer.
house or place you could do that at, it is here.
Yeah, we could do it. It's wide open. It's wide open.
Yeah, he's got to go somewhere, but we're
Yeah,
in the
both
pool.
me and Autumn got to bail. So you got the only thing you got to do is you got to entertain the pup. Just
Oh,
new dog.
yeah,
you
that's
gotta,
easy.
good
Love
luck.
dogs.
Good luck with her.
Yeah, Chelsea will come down. She likes dogs.
Yeah, you guys
Oh,
be
cool.
set.
But right on,
No,
man.
but I
Thank you.
appreciate the opportunity. The pod is. I love what you guys are doing, and
Thanks.
it is funny because you see so much more variety now. You know, as I just saw the other day, there's one the guys I call it SITS, Southern Illinois Truck Show, but there's a group of guys out there, and I haven't really had time to listen, but I try to catch, but now it's crazy because I don't really re-listen to me, but I re-listen to all these other ones, and you're really trying to get caught up and keep.
And you get the people that are like, I don't listen to podcasts, and I'm like, that's fine. You don't. I don't care if no one listens to this.
Yeah.
This is for us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just
we
want
just-
to come hang out with you.
And we just happen to be
talk.
recording it
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah,
So listen if
exactly.
you want.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you find that it's hard to keep like your sponsors and then, keep them happy, or do you stress about that?
I don't, because it's not a thing that we need, and like so, and Seth is happy. So as long as Seth is happy, he's our only sponsor.
Yeah.
So like we might try to get one more, but this is just we talk anyways throughout the week,
Yeah.
and so we're just like, we'll just record it.
And you guys are going to Tucson next, right? Or where are you going next?
We're going to Tucson,
Yeah,
not for a
that's
podcast.
just-
It's just
to
for
hang
like
out.
Oh yeah.
like a thing that.
But that's why you're in town.
No, I'm in town to do this.
Oh.
Yeah, we just kind of lined it up with that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
YouTube channel called Channel 5 News, Andrew Callaghan, and he made like a little mini documentary, and they're doing like a showing of it there.
Cool.
He's been touring it around the country
In Tucson.
in Tucson at the Rialto Theater.
And then when is that? Today or tomorrow?
Tonight.
Oh, you're gonna head.
Yep.
You're gonna
We're
bounce right now.
Yeah, that's why we planned this.
Are you gonna
Yours
go
today.
I-10 or are you gonna go the back way?
Don't know.
Oh, you should go the back way.
Yeah.
Go through Oracle and check it out.
Yeah.
Unless you're in, you got to get there faster.
No, we have to be there by 6.
Yeah, we're just sort of chilling.
So we're just.
Yeah, you
hanging
could
out.
go the back way and just if you want to see the desert.
I'm from the desert,
the
so I've
biodome,
seen
right?
it.
Yeah, the biosphere.
Oh, that's out
Yeah,
there.
yeah, Oracle, Oracle,
Oh, that
and the
actually, I kind
biosphere.
of because I love that movie.
Yeah.
You could bail down there.
Yeah,
you
could.
go.
And we could actually go and tour it, right? Like,
yeah, you
walk
go
in there.
through Florence. You're gonna go around the back. Florence is like prisons.
So Oracle, funny story is my great grandfather was a minister of a church there.
You know who else lives in Oracle?
Yes, I do.
All right, just make sure you know.
I know. You can tell me after.
He knows. All right, that's
cool.
it.
All right,
thanks,
thanks,
guys.
When we're gonna come back and do it again sometime.
Yeah.
Anytime. Well, actually, Grinder is on my. He's got to be on the pod one of these days.
Yeah,
As
you just let me
solo.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just do it in the truck.
Yeah.
That would be
Just
kind of
driving
fun.
around.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
No, just road
Talking
trip.
shit about
Road
people.
trip all the time and constantly record pod.
Unfiltered.
Oh, anyway.
Even better.
I would
Jeremy.
say we have the
Jeremy.
we have the post podcast where we turn everything off, and me and Frank go, "Hey, did you see what that for?"
Yeah, did you see that? but let me give you some advice. Don't ever trust Brian because he always tells me I record everything.
Oh man. Oh,
Well, we always say if
we're
we
cooked.
actually recorded the stuff that we talked about on the post.
Oh, yeah, people would love it.
We're just. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
quit being a bitch.
Because it's
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
it's not a lot of like huge. There's some shit talking.
Yeah.
But it's more. Yeah. Anyway.
It's more opinion based.
It's more opinion based.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for being
Hey,
here.
you already know what we're talking about. You just want to know what we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll leave you with that one. All right, later.
Late.